Chapter 11:22. Yishuan was concerned about the 9 orifices divine elixir now. Whether it was 100,000 or 1,000,000, it made no difference to his current wealth. It was just a drop in the ocean. As long as the 9 orifices divine elixir was successfully refined, his strength would immediately increase by leaps and bounds. He would no longer need to rely on the emergence immortal exterminating saber to severely injure the experts at the 3rd heaven of the Transcendence realm. What, you're not satisfied? The middle-aged man glanced at Miao Sisi and said with a cold smile, I'm not selling it now. If you want the elemental immortal grass back, take out 10 million bloodstones. Then, he glanced at Yishuan again. When he saw Yishuan's straightforward look just now, he knew that 1,000,000 bloodstones was just a drizzle to him. The restless thoughts in his heart suddenly became active again. Originally, he felt complacent when he reported the amount. Now, it seemed that he had suffered a great loss for not asking for more. What? Do you want to die? 10 million! Miao Sisi shouted and exclaimed. If 1,000,000 bloodstones could only be regarded as an exorbitant demand, then 10 million bloodstones was really robbery. Suddenly, Yi Qianqian and the others also looked at the bearded man. Suddenly, a strong killing intent erupted from their bodies. The bearded man was just an ordinary warrior at the 1st heaven of the Transcendence realm. How could he withstand the pressure of so many experts? He was immediately frightened. What do you want? This is the Oriental City's market. If you dare to make a move here, then you're dead meat. The bearded man hastily replied. He suddenly felt more confident as he said this. He straightened his back and looked at Miao Sisi and the others with a complacent expression on his face. This place was the official market of the Oriental City. Causing trouble here would be akin to slapping the Oriental City's face in front of everyone. Once such a thing happened, it would be strange if the Oriental City did not intervene. Thinking of this, he immediately calmed down. Anyway, the elemental returning immortal grass was in his hands. What else could they do? At this time, Gao Xian and the others were a little hesitant. The deterrence of the Eastern Sea region was naturally great for them. How many people had the guts to break the rules they set? Wouldn't he be tired of living? Originally, I didn't want to haggle with you about that 1,000,000 bloodstones. Although you quoted 10 times more, but I didn't want to waste my breath with you because I was in a hurry. However, you were actually greedy and wanted to ask for 10 million bloodstones. I think you have been blinded by greed and have become stupid, Yishuan slowly said. I don't care. If you don't take out 10 million yuan, don't even think about taking the elemental immortal herb back from me. His complexion suddenly turned somewhat red. Many people in the surroundings looked at him. In his eyes there was a ridiculing look in their eyes. However, he didn't have a way out now. He didn't believe that Yishuan would fall out with him in this market. How reckless! A cold look flashed in Yishuan's eyes. 10 million bloodstones might not be too much for him. He could still afford it. However, he couldn't tolerate others treating him like a sucker. Moreover, he couldn't tolerate the stupidest sucker who would go back on his words and raise the price in front of him. Slap! A loud slap was heard. The bearded middle-aged man was sent flying by the slap. His body directly hit several stalls and directly crashed to the ground. Yishuan had controlled his strength. However, how could the strength of the tyrant body be taken lightly? His head had almost been smashed by Yishuan. Half of his face was completely swollen and his teeth were all broken. You actually dare to hit me? Do you know where you are? The bearded man who had been full of confidence said in disbelief. Then, he looked up and shouted. Someone is beating people up. Someone is forcing people to buy and sell things in the market. If only a small group of people had noticed this place before, then the majority of people were now looking in the direction of Yishuan and the others. They were even more curious. Someone was actually trying to force people to buy and sell things in the Oriental City. Wasn't that courting death? Who is this person? Is he courting death? Doesn't he know the rules of the Oriental City? Humph, this person must be stupid. He actually dares to stroke the tiger's whiskers. Isn't this courting death? This person isn't right. He looks a little familiar. I think I've seen him somewhere before. Oh, I remember. Isn't this the mysterious swordsman from the other day? Some people recognized Yishiwen. His performance in midair that day was too dazzling. Although he only brandished his blade 3 times, it was already very terrifying for them. Although the number of slashes was not many, each slash could either severely injure a master at the 3rd level of the law manifestation realm, or completely kill him. This efficiency could be said to be ferocious. It was just that they didn't know Yishiwen's identity. Now, they only gave him the title of Mysterious Swordsman. However, there were still some people who recognized Yishiwen and immediately stayed. There's a good show to watch. This mysterious swordsman is extremely tyrannical, but the dignity of the Oriental city is also inviolable. This is going to be interesting. At this moment, a few cold shouts came from the sky. Who dares to cause trouble in my Oriental city? Then, a group of people flew over from a distance and arrived. This was the law enforcement team of the Oriental city. When the middle-aged man with sideburns shouted, all of them actually came over. At this moment, the middle-aged man with sideburns shouted, "It's them! It's them! They actually want to force a sale here. They want to snatch my element returning immortal grass. Quick, catch them!" Nonsense. It's clear that you want to raise the price. You actually want to sell something worth 100,000 bloodstones for 10 million. Isn't this robbing a burning house? Meow Cece quickly said with her hands on her hips. The way everyone looked at the middle-aged man with sideburns suddenly changed. They originally thought that this mysterious swordsman wanted to force a sale. However, it turned out that this was not the case. An item worth 100,000 bloodstones actually wanted to sell for 10 million. This person was too black-hearted. The middle-aged man with sideburns also felt embarrassed at this moment. However, he still relied on the support of the law enforcement team and said, "That is also my item. I can sell it for however much I want. What can you do about it? Buy it or leave it." At this time, the captain of the law enforcement team suddenly slapped the middle-aged man with sideburns. The other half of his face immediately swelled up. You. The middle-aged man with sideburns looked at the captain of the law enforcement team in disbelief. He hadn't expected that the captain of the law enforcement team would actually help Yishiwen and the others to hit him. Although he was a bit black-hearted, there was no way out. There was no reason for the captain of the law enforcement team to help Yishiwen and the others and not help himself. I hate profiteers the most in my life. Hurry up and take out that element returning immortal grass and get lost. Otherwise, I will kill you. The captain of the law enforcement team fiercely glared at the middle-aged man with sideburns. The middle-aged man with sideburns was still dumbfounded. He couldn't believe that things had developed to this point. He had really lifted a rock and smashed it on his own feet. Now, forget about the 10 million bloodstones, he was afraid that he would have to give away the element returning immortal grass in vain. However, what could he do at this time? Meow Cece and the others were glaring at him like a tiger watching its prey. The members of the law enforcement team had no intention of standing on his side. At this time, he could only bitterly take out the element returning immortal grass. Then, he turned around and quickly disappeared into the crowd. It was a big loss. It was really a big loss this time. Young Master Yi, this is your element returning immortal grass. The captain of the law enforcement team respectfully handed the element returning immortal grass to Yishiwen's hand with a respectful look. You know me? Yishiwen looked at the captain of the law enforcement team in a somewhat strange manner. The captain had been very strange from the beginning. Although this guy was indeed a bit black-hearted, he didn't suffer any losses in terms of the law. I know young Master Yi, but perhaps young Master Yi doesn't know me. Previously, our Oriental city was saved thanks to young Master Yi's help. The captain of the law enforcement team said. Yishiwen understood. No wonder the captain of the law enforcement team was siding with him. So that's how it is. Actually, I didn't help much. It was all thanks to City Lord Jing. Yishiwen said. This was not a polite remark. It was the truth. If Xingbai hadn't blocked most of the attacks, it would have been impossible for Yi Shiwen to be a match for these experts at the third level of the law manifestation realm. At most, he would have been able to retreat unscathed. It was Xingbai who persisted until the other experts recovered. Only then did he manage to stop all the experts at the third level of the law manifestation realm from the blood union. Except for a portion of the blood fiends outside the city, most of them became the spoils of war for the experts in the city. Without anyone to command them, they were utterly defeated under the attacks of the Oriental city's barrier formation. Soon they became the spoils of war for everyone. On that day, everyone really made a fortune. That battle also made Yi Shiwen famous. Although he wasn't as dazzling as Xingbai, Changzi, and the others, he was able to kill experts at the third level of the law manifestation realm with his strength at the intermediate level of the law manifestation realm. At that time, it still shocked everyone. It made many people remember this mysterious swordsman. In any case, there were so many people at that time. Only young Master Yi and a few others rushed forward. Our Oriental city is very grateful. If young Master Yi hadn't killed 2 people, perhaps our city lord wouldn't have been able to hold on, said the captain of the law enforcement team. Indeed, Xingbai's situation at that time could be said to be a lamp that had run out of oil. If 2 more people had gone in, perhaps he wouldn't have been able to hold on. Although they didn't know his specific situation now, it was obvious that he didn't die. It's nothing. In any case, I still have to thank the captain for your help today. Yi Shiwen took the elemental returning immortal grass and said while cupping his hands, I have urgent matters to attend to. I'll leave first. Then we won't stop young Master Yi. Chapter 11:23. In the room of the inn, Yi Shiwen sat cross-legged on the futon. Golden rays of light splashed all over his body. In his body, the mysterious space burst into an unimaginable colorful light. It was constantly deducing the elixir recipe of 9 orifices divine elixir. This elixir recipe could be said to be the most difficult elixir recipe that Yi Shiwen had ever practiced. It was not only a flawless grade, but it had also entered the quality of earth level. It was completely different from the human level. A large number of bloodstones and spirit crystals were burned at the same time, instilling into Yi Shiwen's mysterious space. A large amount of information was deduced and branded into the depths of Yi Shiwen's soul. Above Yi Shiwen, a blood-colored mirror floated in the sky. It was boiling, and the blood-colored light almost filled the entire room. The movement when he was refining elixir was too big, especially the flawless grade elixir. It was a very problematic decision to refine elixir in this crowded place, but Yi Shiwen couldn't wait anymore. Not to mention, there were unparalleled sword, Yi Qianqian, and others to protect him, so he decided to refine elixir in the inn. But even so, he had to be fully prepared and shield all the aura. Yi Shiwen was not in a hurry to start alchemy, but first began to refine tools. In front of him, a mass of unknown mineral material was being melted into a mass of liquid, and underneath it was a blazing flame that was constantly roasting and refining those impurities. Gradually, a cauldron-shaped instrument appeared in front of Yi Shiwen. It turned out to be a human-level alchemy furnace. With his current strength, as long as there were enough materials, it was a piece of cake to refine a human-level instrument. If he wanted to refine elixir, he needed an alchemy furnace. The previous alchemy furnace was just a great sage tool. It was barely enough to refine ordinary elixir. Even when refining flawless grade elixir, the effect could only be regarded as average. However, under Yi Shiwen's precise technique, there was no problem yet. But to refine this kind of earth-rank medicinal pill, the best was naturally to have an earth-rank or above alchemy furnace. But a human-rank alchemy furnace could barely be used, so it was not a big deal. Yi Shiwen didn't have any alchemy inheritance, so it was impossible to have an alchemy furnace for him to use, so he could only continue to refine higher-level alchemy furnaces. Moreover, he was still a dabbler, so this kind of temporary sacrificial refining of alchemy furnace wasn't something that happened once or twice. But he didn't care about it. If a worker wanted to do a good job, he must first sharpen his tools. It took him a full day to refine a top-level human-level alchemy furnace, and it gradually took shape and appeared in the air. Who? Yi Shiwen heaved a sigh of relief and instantly mobilized the Jinyuan throughout his body. He pinched his hand and stimulated his Jinyuan. Suddenly, a flame rose up from the alchemy furnace. It was a pure alchemy fire. Then, he poured the medicinal herbs into the furnace. Familiar and unfamiliar medicinal herbs were thrown into the alchemy furnace by Yi Shiwen, and he carefully controlled the fire and threw them in order. Yi Shiwen looked focused, his eyes fixed on the alchemy furnace, and in his pair of dark eyes, endless alchemy fire was boiling and jumping. He carefully controlled the temperature of the flame, but although he was careful, he was not nervous, because all kinds of information about the 9 orifices divine pill had been deduced thousands of times, and all kinds of tricks had been deduced. In his mind, Yi Shiwen had even simulated it dozens of times. From the beginning, most of the failures, but later on, more and more information was deduced, and he succeeded in all of them. Because there was only one set of materials, so he didn't dare to deduce carelessly. He first deduced countless times before he dared to really try it. So now, although Yi Shiwen was only refining for the first time, it could be said to be at his fingertips. His skill was also many times stronger than before, so refining was not difficult. Although the alchemy fire under Yi Shiwen's control was very strong, and in order to refine in a short time, he increased the alchemy fire, but it was still firmly controlled by Yi Shiwen. In less than an hour, the alchemy furnace issued a humming sound, and the medicinal fragrance instantly filled the entire room of the inn. Yi Shiwen waved his hand, and the lid of the alchemy furnace directly flew up, and a golden pill appeared in front of him. The medicinal fragrance overflowed in all directions, and it was also suffused with a pale golden luster, and there was a faint trace of Tao flashing inside it. Yi Shiwen breathed a sigh of relief. Although he was very calm just now, it was impossible to say that he was not nervous. After all, there was only one set of materials. If he failed, God knows when he could refine the 9 orifices divine pill again. Originally, he could wait until he went out to buy materials to refine. But since he decided to stay first, he suddenly felt a sense of pressure. He must improve his strength as soon as possible to deal with the situation that he might face in the blood realm later. The golden pellet suddenly flew out. It actually wanted to escape. It actually had a spiritual nature. However, Yi Shiwen was already prepared. He immediately stretched out a big hand, and directly grabbed the pellet. He stuffed it directly into his mouth, and began to refine the efficacy of the pellet. This 9 orifices divine pill just entered Yi Shiwen's stomach. Yi Shiwen immediately felt a powerful medicinal efficacy began to boil in his body. Yes, it was not the same situation as in the past. This powerful medicinal efficacy was simply like boiling water in his body, and it actually seeped out through his pores. Even his body could not contain this medicinal efficacy. At this time, Yi Shiwen finally remembered what Yemo said. In other words, although this 9 orifices divine pill was powerful, in fact, not everyone could use it, because its medicinal efficacy was too overbearing. Most people were afraid that once they swallowed it, they would completely explode and die. Only a physique like the tyrant body could forcefully suppress it. Also, if the medicinal efficacy was not fierce enough, how could it help Yi Shiwen enter the transcendence realm in a short period of time? Immediately, he didn't think of anything else and immediately began to circulate the observing person scripture. He immediately sealed all the pores on his body and forced the medicinal power into his body. Then, he circulated the observing person scripture to convert the medicinal power bit by bit into his own power. Yi Shiwen's martial power also began to soar like a rocket. Although the speed was not too obvious, but compared to the previous speed, it was still much faster. And time was also passing bit by bit in Yi Shiwen's closed-door training. In the blink of an eye, more than 10 days had passed, and the entire Oriental city became more and more lively. Not only in the entire Oriental city, but also outside the city, there were many masters living. Now, almost all the masters of the human clan in the blood world had rushed here, wanting to pass through here and return to their respective seas. Because of the aggressiveness of the Blood Union, they had already been forced to retreat. Although if both sides continued to fight, then the Blood Union might not be a match for the human clan. After all, the human clan had the advantage in numbers. Tens of millions of people were enough to crush any force, but no one was willing to fight with the Blood Union in this way. Even if they won, they would suffer heavy losses, and the warriors at the bottom would be sacrificed like cannon fodder. It was not that the higher-ups wanted to sacrifice them, but there was no other way. The lower the strength, the easier it was to be killed. In this case, no one was willing to stay and make the wedding dress for others. Of course, there were also some brave and skillful people who didn't intend to leave at all. They just wanted to stay. Anyway, they were scattered and disbanded. It wouldn't be easy for those people from the Blood Union to catch them. It was just like how it wasn't easy for many human experts to find those people from the Blood Union. Since more than a dozen bases were overturned one after another, the Blood Union people became more careful and more low-key. It was more difficult to find them. In the inn where Yishiwen was in closed-door training, Bai Hanmo and others leaned on the table in boredom. Yes, many masters of the flourished Cloud Sea region had also rushed to the Oriental City. Although the flourished Cloud Sea region was remote, it was still targeted by the Blood Union masters. In the end, everyone had to give up and came to the Oriental City to meet with Jian Wushuang and the others. Although they had been separated from Jian Wushuang for a long time, they had their own means of communication. As soon as they arrived at the Oriental City, they contacted Jian Wushuang. In this more than a month, the strength of Miao Sisi and others had made great progress. With the help of the Bloodstone, their speed of progress could be described as flying. Miao Sisi and the other two had all entered the peak of the first heaven of the Law Manifestation Realm, and Jian Wushuang had entered the second heaven of the Law Manifestation Realm in one fell swoop. Yi Qianqian, who had always maintained a high speed, had entered the peak of the third heaven of the Law Manifestation Realm. Even Jian Wushuang was a little shocked by such speed. It showed how deep Yi Qianqian's accumulation over the years was. Once she erupted, her strength improved so fast. Among the group of people from the flourished Cloud Sea region, the strongest was no longer the original strongest master, young Master Sea Dragon, but Bai Hanmo. Bai Hanmo, who was originally lagging behind the others, had entered the second heaven of the Law Manifestation Realm, catching up with Jian Wushuang. Following closely behind was young Master Sea Dragon, who was at the peak of the Law Manifestation Realm. Pei Xingqian, Jing Wuhui, Yao Qian, Princess, Hai Wuyo, and Boundless Sea had also entered the first heaven of the Law Manifestation Realm. In addition to them, everyone from the flourished Cloud Sea region had entered the half-step Law Manifestation Realm. Many had even entered the half-step Law Manifestation Realm late stage. With the flourished Cloud City as a treasure bowl, everyone's progress was amazing. After cultivating the half-step Law Manifestation Realm experts in their respective forces, they all went out to travel. If it weren't for the Blood Alliance pressing them so hard this time, they would probably return to flourished Cloud City more than a year later and prepare to return to the flourished Cloud Sea region. Chapter 11:24. Now, because of the Blood Alliance's pressure, they returned to flourishing Cloud City in advance. They organized everyone to Oriental City and quickly contacted Jian Wushuang. Even in a place like Oriental City, Transcendence Realm experts still had a place of their own. Even compared to the many geniuses of medium-sized and large sea domains, young Master Hai Long and the others were not inferior. This was why they were known as the Golden Era. These people were not inferior in any sea domain. Although it was not a long time since they came to the Blood World this time, there was no doubt that everyone had gained a lot of benefits. Their strength had improved by leaps and bounds compared to when they were in the flourished Cloud Sea region. The Law Manifestation Realm might not be considered much in a human race martial arts holy land like the Eastern Sea region, but in the flourished Cloud Sea region, it could be regarded as a big shot. They had already entered the top ruler level of the flourished Cloud Sea region. Without the Blood World trial, they might need 100 or 200 years or even thousands of years to cross the threshold of the law manifestation realm. Even in the past, it was already very impressive to be able to enter the half-step law manifestation late stage in the blood world trial. Now, there were so many people entering the law manifestation realm. It could be seen that this generation of the flourished Cloud Sea region was really ushering in a big explosion. Many geniuses and heroes broke out at once. However, young Master Hai Long was still a little unwilling. If they were given some time, not to mention entering the ruler level, they could even step into the ranks of the top experts in one go. In the next thousands of years, they could go further and even have the opportunity to step beyond the law manifestation realm. They all knew very well that although there was such a long time in the future, their potential was about to reach the end. In the future, there might be a chance to reach the peak of the law manifestation realm, but whether they could cross over was a big problem. Every realm in the law manifestation realm was a huge catastrophe. It was impossible to cross several realms in a row like this. Unless they were like Jian Wushuang, Yishiwen, Bai Hanmo, and others who had a lot of time to travel. However, they also knew that it was impossible. They had already entered the law manifestation realm, and were not far from succession. Although their forces gave them great help, giving them far more benefits than ordinary people in the early stage, it also restricted their development. They couldn't go anywhere they wanted like Yishiwen and the others. This was a luxury for them. At this moment, everyone was gathered in this inn, waiting for the space-time gate to open in the sky above the eastern city. They would then pass through the space-time gate and return to their respective seas. I wanted to give Big Brother Yi a surprise. Ah, who knew he was so powerful now? Bai Hanmo said depressingly. Compared with when Yishiwen left, Bai Hanmo's strength had undergone a tremendous change. Initially, he wanted to give Yishiwen a surprise or even show off in front of Yishiwen. Who would have thought that Yishiwen's progress would be even faster than his? A month ago, he had already killed a master at the third heaven of the Transcendence realm. Although some people said that he relied on the emergence immortal exterminating saber, no one could recognize his own strength. This caused him to feel slightly depressed. He's a monster, not a normal person. At this time, young Master Hai Long's words immediately resonated with many people. Indeed, in their opinion, Yishiwen's battle record was simply that of a monster, not a normal person. How could a human be compared with a monster? Thinking of this, everyone's mood was much better. Yes, they were humans. Humans couldn't be compared with monsters. Even if many of them were called monstrous geniuses in their respective seas, compared with Yishiwen, it seemed that there was nothing to be proud of. It was especially so for young Master Sea Dragon and the others. When they knew Yishiwen, what kind of strength did he have now? It was simply unimaginable. If they didn't know Yishiwen's strength all along, they probably wouldn't really believe that Yishiwen's progress had reached such a terrifying level. Especially when he entered the blood world, his strength progress was beyond the imagination of everyone in the Yuan dynasty. If they could still be regarded as at the same level as Yishiwen before, they were now far behind Yishiwen. It's a pity. Damn it, I don't want to go back like this. There's still a year and a half left, Pei Xingqian said gloomily with his palm on his forehead. During this time, he had made great progress. Even he didn't expect that he could step into the law manifestation realm in one fell swoop in the blood world. In the past, it was not easy for the young experts of the flourished Cloud Sea region to step into the half-step law manifestation realm in the blood world. The law manifestation realm was very rare. Most importantly, he had only just passed the halfway mark. If the remaining year and a half passed, even he didn't know to what extent his strength would improve. How could he be willing to go back now? The others also had the same expression. At this time, no one wanted to leave like this. Damn blood union, a bunch of stinking bugs, rats that can't see the light. At this time, Sequoian also shouted very gloomily. Although there were countless dangers in the blood world, there were also countless opportunities after all, especially for the top geniuses like them. The ambition in their hearts was definitely not limited to this little bit. Boom! A loud and terrifying sound came from above the city. An unprecedented, terrifying pressure descended from the sky and fell on the entire Oriental city. Enemy attack! Sequoian was the first to react. Some time ago, the Oriental city had already experienced such a situation. Therefore, when this happened, everyone immediately reacted. Everyone ran out of the inn and looked up to the sky. They saw countless blood-colored flying beasts forming an endless blood cloud in the sky, swooping down in a murderous manner. At this time, all the formations on the Oriental city suddenly came to life, and countless light beams blasted out. Boom! 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 Countless light beams swept out, and the blood cloud formed by the blood-colored demonic birds was directly annihilated under the attack of these light beams. However, the number of these flying beasts was too much, as if there was no end to them. They quickly filled up the empty space, and the boundless blood cloud did not seem to reduce at all. Chapter 11:25 Blood Alliance. This was the only thought left in everyone's mind. Apart from the Blood Alliance, who else could have such a large-scale blood beast attack? Although the blood beasts also triggered a blood beast frenzy and attacked the city, it was rare to see such a large-scale and organized attack. Everyone continued to look. Sure enough, above these blood beasts, some vague figures appeared in the blood cloud. Damn it, it's really these guys who can't see the light. We're leaving soon. Aren't they going to let us have a good time? Damn it, let's fight them! Everyone was filled with righteous indignation. The Blood Alliance intended to kill them all. They didn't even allow them to retreat. They really treated them as food, hunting them down, and refining them into blood yuan pills. The warriors outside the city also returned to the city, using the city's protection to deal with these blood-colored birds. The battle started almost in a few breaths. These birds' arrival came without the slightest warning, and they didn't have any intention to communicate first. A fierce battle ensued as soon as they arrived. Everyone was a little nervous, especially many experts from small sea regions. At this time, they were even more nervous. Many of them were only at the Transcendent Realm 9th level. Even the most powerful ones were only at the half-step law manifestation initial realm. They didn't encounter the kind of battle a month ago. At this time, seeing countless blood-colored birds rushing down at a crazy speed, one could imagine the horror. It felt like their lives were under the control of these blood-colored birds. Although most of these blood-colored birds were only at the Transcendent Realm 9th level, when the number reached tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands, it was extremely terrifying. Many people even thought that the Blood Alliance had sent all the birds in the Blood Realm here. Among these birds, there were a large number of birds that were half a step to the Transcendence Realm, or even the Transcendence Realm. If they were not careful, they would become their meal. Fortunately, they were still fighting against the Oriental city's defense. They couldn't rush in for a while. A large number of blood-colored wastelands were annihilated by countless light beams, but many arrays were also destroyed by these blood-colored birds. The battle was in full swing. Those pests from Blood Alliance sure are persistent. A cold female voice came from the city lord's mansion. Then, a shocking whip shadow lashed out. It actually broke through the sky and whipped a group of birds that swooped down. The leader was a Dharma-plane bird that was originally leading the charge to destroy the city's defenses. Bang! 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 The purple whip shadow continued to attack. Every time it attacked, a Transcendence Realm bird would explode. These Transcendence Realm flying beasts posed the greatest threat to Dongfang City's defense, and the purple whip shadows were specifically targeting these Transcendence Realm flying beasts. Everyone knew that Chang Zi had made a move. As one of the two top experts in the city, Chang Zi's prestige was not inferior to Jingbai's. However, compared to Jingbai, Chang Zi was more low-key. In other words, she didn't care about these things at all. Basically, she stood behind Jingbai. Not only Chang Zi, but at this time, the other Transcendence Realm experts in the city also began to move in groups of 2s and 3s. They all knew that these ordinary Transcendent Realm 9th level and half-step law manifestation flying beasts were not a big threat. The real threat was the law manifestation level flying beasts. Only with them could they attack the Oriental City's array and defense. As for those half-step law manifestation flying beasts, it was impossible to break through the Oriental City's defense. It was nothing more than relying on numbers. Everyone knew that it was time to fight with their lives on the line. Soon, the space-time door would open, and they would return to their respective sea regions. The purpose of these Blood Alliance experts was the opposite of theirs. They wanted to prevent them from returning to their respective sea regions. They wanted to keep as many of them here as possible. The more people who stayed, the more materials they had for refining the Blood Yuan elixir. Kill! Kill these rotten bastards! Let's go all out. We can still kill the Blood Alliance before we leave. Haha, that's great! Many warriors relied on the entire city wall for defense. They were able to attack the blood-colored beasts outside, but the blood-colored beasts couldn't attack them. However, they weren't so happy because they knew very well that the real Blood Alliance experts hadn't been released yet. As for these blood-colored beasts that they had enslaved, they wouldn't care no matter how many of them died. Anyway, they were born and bred by nature. It was nothing at all. Boom! 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 The aftermath of the battle could be felt everywhere. At this time, everyone was flying in the air and fighting against those flying beasts. However, as the formations were destroyed one after another, more and more experts were killed. With the destruction of each formation, the experts within it would be hard to escape the calamity. The blood-colored beast's offensive was also gradually crushing down. Tens of millions of people from the entire city had launched a collective attack. Their formidable might was simply unimaginable. Soon, the number of blood-colored beasts summoned by the Blood Alliance was getting fewer and fewer. Gradually, people could see the blood-colored clouds in the sky instead of a large number of blood-colored beasts. However, the Oriental City's defenses that had been added over the years had almost been demolished by now. However, the number of casualties was much less than what they had expected. However, everyone hadn't even started to feel happy when countless roars began to spread from the horizon. Then, countless blood-colored frenzied tides appeared. Countless blood beasts and blood demons began to sweep over from afar. The complexions of many weaker experts began to change drastically. The Oriental City's defenses had been able to withstand the onslaught of these beasts a while ago. But now, the defenses of the Oriental City had been almost destroyed. So, it was very likely that they would have to fight on their own. The number of these Blood Alliance experts wasn't very large. In fact, they weren't even worth mentioning when compared to the tens of millions of experts from the human race and the sea race. Therefore, they had been regarded as a major threat for a very long time. However, it wasn't clear when they had started to train and raise blood demons. They had ordered the blood beasts to fight for them. This had made up for their lack of numbers. On the contrary, their numbers had become their advantage. It wasn't that there weren't any experts among the human race and the sea race who could tame beasts. However, it was useless because they had discovered that they couldn't command any kind of blood beasts or blood demons in the blood world unless they had brought them in from the outside. This had made the experts of the human race and the sea race give up the idea of using blood beasts and blood demons as a means of counterattack. They could only rely on their own strength to fight them head-on. This was something that couldn't be helped. It seemed that they were restricted by the laws. Unless they were like the people of the Blood Alliance and had completely integrated into the blood world, it was impossible to command these blood beasts and blood demons in the blood world. When countless blood beasts were galloping, it was simply unimaginable how terrifying it was. The ground was boiling. Many blood beasts were galloping in midair. Their claws tore through the air and trampled on the blood aura. It was a terrifying sight to behold. Everyone held their breath and focused their attention. They knew that the truly arduous battle had just begun. If they could endure it, not only would they be able to return to their respective sea territories, but they would also be able to make a fortune. At this moment, a cold voice came from the City Lord's mansion. When the space-time door opens, don't be anxious. Transcendent Realm warriors will leave first, followed by half-step Law Manifestation Realm experts, and finally Law Manifestation Realm experts. Everyone must leave in this order. If anyone doesn't follow this order, don't blame us, the Eastern Sea region, for being ruthless. Chapter 11:26. Qinchushan, I know you're here. Why are you hiding? Come out, said Jingbai loudly in the city lord's residence. Qinchushan? This name sounds familiar. How can it not be familiar? How can I not be familiar with him? In the previous Blood Realm trial, there was a prodigy in the Sea clan. It was said that when he first entered the Blood Realm, he was just at the Transcendent Realm's 6th level. He was just average. Who knows, in the end, he broke all the way to the Law Manifestation Realm. His progress was amazing. It was simply unimaginable. It was said that he was only 100 years old at that time. Originally, he could wait until this session with his age. At that time, Qinchushan would be invincible. 100 years old and someone managed to cultivate to the Law Manifestation Realm? Oh my God, you must be joking. Someone said in disbelief because they were all geniuses. Many people regarded them as their goal, calling them geniuses and monstrous geniuses. However, in front of Qinchushan, they didn't seem to be anything at all. That's right. This news is too unbelievable. However, I didn't expect that after the Blood World reopened, Qinchushan didn't come out from the Blood World. Since then, he disappeared without a trace. I thought that he was dead, but I didn't expect that he was still alive. Could it be that he joined the Blood Alliance? Jian Wushuang and the others were shocked. There were tens of millions of people in the Oriental City. Any one of them could be regarded as a prodigy in the outside world. They might even be the monstrous figures of various sea regions and forces. To be able to ascend to the Transcendent Realm 8th level, 9th level, or even higher within a few hundred years was already a difficult feat in itself. Not to mention, to be able to ascend to such a level within a short span of 100 years, it wouldn't be wrong to call this person a prodigy. I thought I was already a genius, but after entering the Blood World I realized that there are as many geniuses as dogs in this place. It's enough to hurt my self-esteem. How can there still be such a person? God, you're too unfair, said Psyche Yen gloomily. For a narcissistic person like him, the existence of such a character was simply an insurmountable bug. In terms of cultivation speed, Yishiwen may be able to compete with him, but in terms of age, although Yishiwen is not that old, but he is already several times older than him. Yao Qian said. She was the most qualified person to say this. After all, she had witnessed Yishiwen progressing from the Transcendent Realm all the way to this level. Such an improvement speed was simply incredible. Although Yishiwen was only in the half-step Law Manifestation Realm, he was only halfway through the Blood Realm trial. It was very likely that he would reach the Law Manifestation Realm in the end. He had thought that Yishiwen's progress was already shocking. However, he hadn't expected that there would always be someone stronger than him. There was always someone stronger than him. Moreover, there was an existence that was even more monstrous than Yishiwen. If Qinchushan wasn't trapped in the Blood Realm, no one knew how strong Qinchushan would be after hundreds of years. He might have even surpassed the Law Manifestation Realm, which was regarded as the most terrifying barrier by countless warriors, and entered the highest realm. Experts that surpassed the Law Manifestation Realm were existences that possessed an unimaginably lofty status, even in the ancient Barrens continent and the Endless Sea region. They were the true big shots of the ancient Barrens continent. They could summon the wind and summon the rain, and they were omnipotent. Everyone nodded and were a little speechless. They originally thought that Yishiwen was monstrous enough. They didn't expect him to be a true monstrous genius. Compared to Qinchushan, Yishiwen didn't seem to be much. After all, his age was indeed several times that of Qinchushan. However, they obviously didn't know Yishiwen's background. Although Yishiwen was slightly older than Qinchushan, his starting point was much lower than Qinchushan. When Qinchushan could come into contact with the Transcendent Realm, Law Manifestation Realm, and even those that surpassed the Law Manifestation Realm, Yishiwen was still worrying about how to ascend to the innate realm. His starting point was the lowest among all of them. Hee, I didn't expect Xingbai to be able to sense my arrival even though you're just sitting in your residence. Not simple at all. At this moment, a sinister laughter resounded from the sky. Immediately after, a person in a blood-red robe walked out from the void. His blood-red robe was embroidered with gold, which showed that his position within the Blood Alliance was extraordinary. This was the Sea Clan's genius that had disappeared previously, Qin Shushan. However, he was different from the other Blood Alliance members. Other than the abnormal blood-red color on his body, there wasn't any rotten flesh. He looked exactly like a normal person. How is that difficult? I can smell the rotten smell on your body even from 1,000 miles away, said Xingbai coldly. Immediately after, a white light shot out from the residence and flew towards Qin Shushan's position in midair. As the white light dissipated, it was Xingbai. Compared to a month ago, he didn't have the sickly look from before. Instead, he seemed to be in high spirits. No one knew what kind of miracle medicine he had consumed. In just a short month, he had recovered to his peak state. Hearing Xingbai's words, Qin Shushan's face immediately darkened and he said coldly, "Humph, you have the strength to talk. It seems that the wound I gave you last time has already healed? It's all thanks to you. Without destruction, there can't be construction." Not only have I recovered to my original state, but I've also improved even further. I'm not far from breaking through to the law manifestation 4th level, said Xingbai calmly. Without destruction, there can't be construction. I've really underestimated you. It's rare to have a genius like you among the humans, said Qin Shushan with a laugh. However, personally killing such a genius has always been my proudest achievement. Genius? How can I compare to you? Xingbai said faintly. Under normal circumstances, if we were to meet in the outside world, I might not even have the qualifications to catch up to you within 1,000 years. Unfortunately, no matter what, you're just a stinky bug in the gutter. You can't see the light of day, so you can only use such disgusting methods. Qin Shushan's expression suddenly changed slightly. Xingbai's words had poked his sore spot. For him, staying in the blood world by accident was an eternal pain. It was a pain that he would never be able to let go of. If he had developed normally in the outside world, his current level of cultivation would have been unimaginably high. He might have even reached the peak of the Transcendence realm, or even crossed the natural moat and entered a higher realm. So what if Xingbai had an illustrious reputation amongst the younger generation? In his eyes, Xingbai was just like an ant. Xingbai didn't even have the qualifications to be mentioned in the same breath as him. What right did he have to stand in front of him? As he thought of this, his blood-colored eyes emitted a terrifying ominous glint as he stared at Xingbai. It doesn't matter. No matter how depraved I am, you won't have a chance to get out. You won't even have the qualifications to be depraved because you will be refined into a blood yuan elixir. From then on, you will become my greatest help in entering the law manifestation realm, said Qin Shushan after he calmed down. You can be considered a talent of your generation. The blood union, which was originally lost, was actually reborn in your hands. Moreover, in these hundreds of years, it has quietly developed to such a scale. It's really hard to imagine, said Qin Shushan as he looked at Xingbai faintly. There was a sudden exclamation in the city. The blood union was actually re-established in Qin Shushan's hands. This made many people somewhat incredulous. Because the strength of the blood union had forced many experts of the human clan to retreat, many people guessed that the blood union should have been passed down for many generations and had been lying low. It was just that it suddenly erupted during this year's trial by blood and fire. However, they didn't expect that it would actually be re-established by the previous Qin Shushan. In just a few hundred years, Qin Shushan was actually able to achieve this. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to describe him as a talent. It's just relying on some of the old foundations left behind in the blood union. If one didn't personally take over everything, I'm afraid that no one would be able to imagine how prosperous the blood union was in the past. Even after its decline, the foundations left behind were far beyond what you can imagine, said Qin Chushan with a mischievous smile. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to reach such a level in just a few hundred years. Unfortunately, you are wrong. If you only took over the Blood Union, it would be fine. You shouldn't have targeted the human clan. Even if I die today, I will make you stay behind, you scourge, said Jinbai. Don't make it sound so dignified. If you were trapped in the blood world, would you be indifferent? Do you know what I was thinking at that time? I just wanted to live. I tried my best to recall everything about the Blood Union. I spent a whole 100 years looking for the remains of the Blood Union. Indeed, hard work pays off. After 100 years, I finally found a base of the Blood Union. I found the Blood Yuan pill that could allow me to live. I also found the refining method of the Blood Yuan pill. Qin Chushan looked at Jingbai with a hideous smile and said, Do you know why I was trapped in the blood world? It was because of the experts of the human clan that I swore that I would definitely teach you a lesson. I would kill every single one of you in the blood world. From then on, the human clan would no longer have the qualification to enter the blood world. If one came in, I would kill one. If two came in, I would kill a pair. I would like to see if you have more people or if I can kill you faster. The people in the underground city were startled when they heard this. Chen Chushan was actually trapped in the blood world because of the experts of the human clan? However, at this time, they didn't have the mood to pay more attention to this. This was because countless blood fiends and blood demons had already rushed to the bottom of the city. Chapter 11:27. The Oriental city's defense was almost depleted by the blood-colored demon beasts. The remaining barriers and arrays were not enough to block these blood-colored barriers. Almost in the first wave of impact, these blood-colored barriers were completely destroyed. These blood fiends and blood demons were about to reach the top of the city wall, so they had no time to pay attention to the situation in the sky. However, everyone was paying attention to the battle above, because they knew very well that the battle above was not the battle below, but the one that would decide the outcome of the battle. The Blood Alliance also knew very well that the reason why they commanded these blood beasts and blood demons to attack the city was just to delay everyone and prevent them from supporting Jingbai. Otherwise, tens of millions of experts, even if they were all Transcendent Realm 9th level experts, could inflict heavy damage on them with a full blow. Boom! Yi Qianqian slashed out with her sword. Cold air filled the air, freezing everything within a radius of 100 meters. Then, the ice suddenly exploded. The blood fiends and blood demons within it were either frozen to death or exploded to death. It was not that the range of her cold air was limited, but the wider the range, the weaker the power. If necessary, she could even freeze the space within a radius of hundreds of miles. Jian Wushuang and the others also attacked and killed the blood fiends and blood demons in front of them. Although there were some Dharma manifestation realm beasts among the blood fiends and blood demons, they could not pose any threat to them. Many law manifestation realm blood beasts and blood demons were killed in an instant as soon as they rushed to the city wall. It did not pose much of a problem to them at all. What's there to say to this guy? I wasn't there that day. Now that he's here, let's kill him! At this time, a purple figure flew out of the city lord mansion and swept into the air. It was Chang Zi, holding a dragon striker whip in her hand. She looked at Qin Chushan with a cold expression. You came alone today? This is your biggest mistake, said Chang Zi with a sneer. Not long after her, a dozen figures leaped up. They were the Law Manifestation Realm 3rd level human experts from the Sea region. Do you think I came here alone today? Qin Chushan sneered and said. Apart from the two of you, the others are just chickens and dogs. Do you still want to leave today? Don't even think about it, just stay here. Upon hearing Qin Chushan's words, Jingbai's expression tensed up immediately. He was very clear that Qin Chushan was not a person who would brag recklessly. Since he had said so, there must be a reason behind it. Really, now that you mention it, I still want to launch a sneak attack, but now it's all for naught. At this moment, a slightly skinny figure walked out of the void. His gaze was as sharp as a knife as he stared at Jingbai. One of the 4 heavenly kings of the Southern Sea region, the Ghost Spirit King. Jingbai looked at the person who had arrived and revealed his identity. Without a doubt, this person belonged to the Southern Sea region. Since he had appeared here at this moment, he was naturally not standing on Jingbai's side. This ghostly spirit king looked abnormally skinny, and his hair was also pale yellow. He looked as though he was malnourished, but very few people would have thought that he was actually one of the Southern Sea region's 4 heavenly kings, the ghostly spirit king. Jingbei frowned. This was another troublesome opponent. As the top circle of the Endless Sea region's younger generation, even if they had not met Guamian, they were still very familiar with each other. This was because there were only a few people in total, and they were the most direct opponents among each other. Only they were qualified to be each other's opponents. They might not even care about the others. This ghostly spirit king was also an opponent of the same level as him. Even if he was not as good as Jingbei, there was still a slight difference, so he was definitely a troublesome opponent. Why are you talking so much nonsense with him? Kill all these humans, don't leave a single one alive! At this moment, an extremely cold voice came from the void, and a slender figure walked out of the void. It was a beautiful woman in a dark blue dress. Northern Sea region's Fei Bai Foam, Chang Zi said as he looked at the woman in front of him with an unfriendly gaze. Perhaps it was because of the relationship between a woman and a top-notch expert, even a mere glance would cause enmity between them. The experts of the Southern Sea region and the Northern Sea region have appeared. What about the Western Sea region? Jingbei calmed down at this moment. Smart, I like to talk to smart people. Following this voice, another figure with a terrifying aura stood out from the void. It was a handsome man in a luxurious robe, and he was holding an iron fan in his hand. He kept fanning the fan, and a cool breeze blew on the hair on his head, causing it to flutter. Western Sea region's young master Amano, Jingbei said. I didn't expect that the Sea Clan would actually join hands with the Blood Union. Don't you know the characteristics of the Blood Union? They need a sufficient amount of blood yuan pills if they want to survive. I think you should be familiar with blood yuan pills. Of course I know, but it is precisely because of this that we must keep you people here. TSK, tens of millions of human experts will be enough for the Sea Clan experts of the Blood Union to use for a very long time. This place will also become our hunting ground in the future, and you humans will be eliminated. King Ghost Spirit sneered and said, You have a big appetite. At this time, even Jingbei couldn't help but be shocked by their big appetite. If tens of millions of people were to stay here, it would be a terrifying scene. Not only would the Blood Union and the Blood World obtain sufficient blood yuan pills, but it would also swell up to an unmanageable level. Moreover, the human race would also have a talent gap because of the death of these tens of millions of people. The serious consequences would be unimaginable. It's good to have a big appetite. In this day and age, the bold will be stuffed to death, and the timid will starve to death. Ha 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 ha! Young Master Amano laughed, and said, Your appetite is indeed big, but you'd better not be stuffed to death. Chang Zi sneered and said, The dragon striker whip in her hand began to emit bursts of dragon roars. However, her expression became even more dignified. She was very clear that any one of these top-notch experts was enough to become her formidable enemy. Moreover, 4 of them had appeared in one go. However, Jingbei was thinking more about this matter. If the Sea Clan and the Blood Union were to join hands, then this matter would become really serious. If it was only the Blood Union, then perhaps it wouldn't be a big deal. It would be impossible for them to threaten the defense of the Oriental City. Moreover, there were tens of millions of experts in the Oriental City. Who would dare to provoke the tiger's whiskers? However, the situation would be completely different if the Sea Clan was supporting them from behind. Just these 3 people in front of him were already a huge problem. However, these 3 people were definitely not the biggest problem. The Sea race definitely didn't only have these 3 experts. As for how many experts were hidden in the 3 super sea regions of the Sea race, perhaps even he had no way of knowing. Maybe there were even more experts that he didn't know about hidden among them. The human race was already at a disadvantage. Moreover, even so, they still had Changzi as their trump card. The Sea clan definitely had more experts. If all of them were to gather here, then there would undoubtedly be a terrifying situation. Let's directly attack. Kill all of these people. Hurry up! Fei Baifeng said slightly impatiently. Boom! As Fei Baifeng spoke, she made her move in an instant. Her opponent was none other than Changzi, and just like how Changzi found her an eyesore, she also found Changzi an eyesore, a girl who was even more beautiful than her. Such a person simply shouldn't exist in this world. Suddenly, countless feathers appeared around her body. These feathers were driven by true yuan and started to rotate crazily. They condensed into a long spear and instantly shot towards Changzi. Is that all? Changzi shouted delicately. The dragon whip in her hand instantly turned into a long dragon. The huge dragon fiercely hit the long feather spear. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded and an unimaginable shockwave instantly swept out. Both of them were already at the peak of the third heaven of the Transcendence realm. Moreover, they were the best of the best. Just a casual attack from them would have boundless power. Countless blood qi instantly spread out and shattered. This was also the reason why Jingbai chose to fight in midair. If they chose to fight in the city, just the aftermath alone would be enough to sweep the entire city into ashes. Let's continue the battle that we didn't finish the last time. Jingbai, I will definitely chop off your head. Your blood essence will be refined into the best blood yuan elixir to help me enter the fourth heaven of the Transcendence realm. So die. At this time, Qin Chushan, who had been enduring, finally made his move. A long saber appeared in his hand and the saber light covered half of the sky. It was extremely dazzling. He didn't come personally for the previous encirclement. Instead, more than a dozen of his subordinates were killed by Jingbai and Yi Shiwen. This was because at that time, he was also seriously injured like Jingbai. It was just like what Yi Shiwen thought. Indeed, if he didn't personally hold Jingbai back, with the strength of the Blood Union's experts, it would be impossible to keep Jingbai here, let alone seriously injure him. However, it was precisely because of this that he was even more resentful in his heart. So many people couldn't keep Jingbai here. Let's settle this once and for all. This time, even if I die, I will kill you, you scourge. Jingbai snorted coldly. The sword light in his hand instantly cut through the sky and attacked. Chapter 11:28. The battle between Fei Baifeng and Changzi began. The purple dragon striker whip and countless white feathers fluttered in the sky. The feathers of Fei Baifeng turned into countless weapons in the sky and directly smashed down. It was exceptionally terrifying. As for the purple dragon striker whip, at this moment, it was like a true enormous purple dragon was moving about within it. For a moment, it was hard to tell who was superior. On the other side, the battle between Jingbai and Qin Chushan was also on the verge of breaking out. Qin Chushan's saber momentum was like a mountain. It could be said that each saber was abnormally heavy and very terrifying. When the saber slashed down, the endless blood qi exploded in an instant. On the contrary, Jingbai's sword moves were dexterous. Each of his moves was like a flying immortal. Each of his moves was like a divine stroke, pointing at Qin Chushan's weakest point. These were two extreme fighting styles, but they were displayed to the extreme. They constantly collided in the sky. It seemed more explosive than the battle between Fei Baifeng and Changzi. What should we do? It seems like we can't find an opponent among the human clan. Ghostly Spirit King glanced at the human clan experts in front of him, and said. The complexion of these human clan experts suddenly turned ugly. Although they were not comparable to Jingbai and Changzi, they could be ranked at the top among the many young human clan experts. At this time, they were actually being looked down upon. Although the opponent was the famous Ghostly Spirit King, they were being looked down upon too much. That's right. It's a pity that there are still a few human clan experts who haven't come in. Boring, boring, really boring. How about this? Aren't there more than a dozen people here? Why don't we have a competition to see who can kill more? Young Master Amano fanned Taishan and said. Good idea, then I'll start first. At this time, Ghostly Spirit King screamed and suddenly rushed out. His body swept out a dim light. Damn it! Shameless! Prince Amano screamed, and his body instantly swept out. Damn it, delay them, we definitely can't let them have the chance to help Fei Baifeng and Chen Chushan. They actually dare to look down on us, let them see how powerful we are. At this time, an expert of the human clan roared. Hee hee, so I look down on you? How about it? At this time, Ghostly Spirit King's figure had already rushed in front of him. He lifted his leg and suddenly kicked. Bang! That expert was kicked solidly. With a blood-curdling scream, his body was instantly sent flying. Just one strike was enough to severely injure this expert, who was also at the third heaven of the Transcendence realm. The reputation of the Ghostly Spirit King was not simple. He was one of the Southern Sea region's 4 heavenly kings. At this time, Prince Amano had already killed his way into the group of more than a dozen experts. One of them was seriously injured, and the expert fell from the clouds and crashed into the city. Compared to the Ghost Spirit King, he seemed to be even more irritable. The faces of these experts were extremely ugly. Even though they were unwilling, they still understood the difference between them and these people. Get into formation. We must hold them back until Changzi or Jingbai can slaughter them. More than a dozen experts at the third heaven of the Transcendence realm joined forces to set up a formation. Even in the blood beast frenzy, they could move freely. However, when facing the 2 people in front of them, they could only barely maintain a balance. The battle in the city had become even more intense. Some of the blood fiends had already rushed up the city walls. Although they were quickly killed by more experts, there were already bad signs. These blood fiends were originally used to delay the experts. However, at this moment, they had displayed a terrifying combat strength. They were almost able to break through the eastern city. Puchi! Miao Sisi killed a blood beast that was flying over with a sword. Blood splashed out and splashed on her body. However, the blood was bounced off by the chi and could not get close to her body. Seeing that she was carrying a big sword that was taller than her, everyone was a little shocked. This was definitely a violent Lolita. These blood beasts and blood beasts are increasing in number. Now, the defense of the Oriental city is gradually becoming useless. Miao Sisi blew her long hair in front of her forehead gloomily. Although she was angry, she looked exceptionally cute. I don't know when Yishiwen will come out of his closed-door training. If he takes action, at least we can escape unscathed, Miao Sisi said somewhat gloomily. As she spoke, she looked at the inn in the middle of the city. It seemed that in the endless battle, only that inn had maintained its initial peace. Everyone nodded one after another. They didn't know when Yishiwen had become their spiritual leader. Although he might not speak much on normal days, in everyone's hearts, he was the kind of person who could turn the tide at the critical moment. So, we must guard the city wall even more. At this time, Gao Xian said, now that Yishiwen is in closed-door training, he can't be disturbed the most. We must guard the city wall. We must not let these beasts disturb his closed-door training. Yes. Yes. Watch me. Everyone nodded one after another. Once again, they rushed towards those blood beasts and blood beasts. Although for Yi Qianqian and others, although the city wall was a little dangerous, it was not considered a fatal threat. After all, there were so many of them. There were many law manifestation realm experts guarding the city wall. Even if those law manifestation realm blood beasts rushed up, it would only be a dead end. However, for the others, it was already very dangerous. On many sections of the city wall, the blood beasts and blood beasts gradually began to appear. They had actually gradually caught up to them. Gradually, people began to feel powerless. Many people were accidentally killed by the blood beasts or had their heads bitten off by the blood beasts on the spot. They screamed endlessly. Their miserable corpses were left on the city wall, constantly twitching. Jingbai began to feel anxious in his heart. These people of the Blood Union were really crazy. They actually wanted to keep these tens of millions of people here. Although everyone knew that it was impossible at all. There would always be a portion of people who could escape. Even if only 1 million people were to stay, it was still an extremely large number. It was enough to make the Blood Union expand to a terrifying level. Perhaps they could not feel the threat of the Blood Union now. However, the next time the young talents of the human clan came, they would probably face such a terrifying threat. At that time, it might really be like what Qin said. Human experts would be slaughtered every time they went in. The consequences were simply unimaginable. This would be a huge loss for the entire human clan. Just in this short period of 1.5 years, the level of progress of the young experts of the human clan could be imagined. How important the Blood World Trial was to the experts of the human clan in the entire Endless Sea region. The difference in strength between those who had entered the Blood World Trial and those who hadn't was enough to reach the level of a generational difference. If he hadn't entered the Blood World, it would be impossible for him to reach the peak of the third heaven of the Transcendence Realm in such a short period of time. If only the Sea Clan could enter the Blood World Trial in the future, and the experts of the human clan couldn't enter the Blood World Trial, then in the long run, the fragile balance between the human clan and the Sea Clan's strength would also be completely destroyed. In the Endless Sea region, the strength of the human clan was originally the weaker side. If this continued, the gap between the human clan and the Sea Clan's strength would be further widened. In a short period of time, the gap might not be visible. However, after a long time, the disadvantage of the human clan would further increase. At that time, it was very likely that the Endless Sea region would be affected. Damn it, you guys! The long sword in Jingbai's hand directly cut through the sky, and his movements became more and more intense. Moreover, he thought of a more terrifying point. Since the Sea Clan had already sent these people, would they send more experts? This was absolutely possible. Originally, when the human clan faced the Sea Clan, they were already at a disadvantage and were at a complete disadvantage. Now, there was the addition of these blood alliances. At this time, if the experts of the Sea Clan also joined in, then it would really be the straw that broke the camel's back. At that time, it was very likely that there would be millions of casualties. Are you anxious? Ha 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 ha! Qin didn't back down at all as he went tit for tat with Jingbai. At the same time, he laughed wildly. Can you stop so many of us by yourself? Don't you want to protect them? Don't you want them to leave first? Now I will make you regret it. I will let you watch them become ingredients for the Blood Yuan elixir, and become food in the stomachs of the blood fiends and blood demons. Ha ha! Good, good, good. I didn't expect you to be so cruel and merciless. In that case, I will kill you first. Jingbai angrily rebuked. It's really a headache for you to be so stubborn. So why can I still live a good life even though I have fallen into the blood world? But you can only retreat in defeat. Do you know why? It's because you are soft-hearted that you shouldn't have. Qin sneered and said. The long sword in his hand chopped down like a mountain. Anyway, those people are irrelevant. You would have had the opportunity to escape if you had wanted to. However, you didn't choose to leave. Instead, you chose to be buried with these people. You are really stupid. I didn't decide to perish together with you in the beginning. It was really a wrong decision. Now, I have decided to redeem my previous wrong decision. Jingbai suddenly grinned and said. His body's imposing aura instantly burst out. It looked abnormally majestic and vigorous. Wrong? Even if it's a wrong decision, you won't have the opportunity to redeem yourself. You want to be buried with me? That's really ridiculous. Qin sneered. However, his heart tightened, and his whole body started to tense up. Suddenly, a sword streaked across the sky like a flying immortal. It was extremely dazzling. The sharp and glaring sword energy made people unable to open their eyes. It was extremely terrifying. Chapter 1129. Suddenly, a sword pierced through the sky like a flying immortal. It was too dazzling, and the sword aura was sharp and glaring. It was so bright that people couldn't open their eyes. It was terrifying to the extreme. Jingbai slashed out with his sword as if he was on fire. Chen Chushan reacted immediately. His words were filled with disdain, as if he didn't put Jingbai in his eyes. However, Jingbai was a formidable enemy in his eyes. The long blade in his hand suddenly slashed out countless terrifying blade auras. It set off a dreadful blade wave. It was gorgeous and terrifying to the extreme. Clang! A horrifying loud noise resounded. At the point where the long saber and the long sword collided, a horrifying force burst out and spread in all directions, as though it wanted to annihilate everything. The battle between the top experts at the third sky of the Law Phase realm was horrifying. It's too horrifying. Among the younger generation, I'm afraid no one is stronger than them. I hope Xingbai wins. Otherwise, we might even face the danger of being annihilated. Countless experts below were astonished. Compared to the battles above, the battles below were still lacking by more than a level. When the saber and the sword collided, both sides felt the horrifying force rebounding onto each other. The brilliance of the two Earth-ranked magical artifacts, the swords and sabers, dimmed a little. Traces of blood seeped out from the corners of Xingbai's and Chen Chushan's mouths. In that exchange just now, either side had held back. The rebounding force actually caused them to bleed. Are you crazy? Do you really want to perish here with me? Chen Chushan was a little bewildered as he said. Do you want the Sea Clan to reap the benefits? Jingbai wiped off the blood at the corner of his mouth and looked at Chen Chushan plainly. He said, even if the Sea Clan reaps the benefits, it will only be for a moment. If we let you continue, it will truly be the end of our race. He could see it clearly. Even if this wave of human experts were completely annihilated, it would at most cause the human race in the Endless Sea region to lose a few hundred years of inheritance. Although it would hurt their vitality, it wouldn't be considered as a serious injury. At most, it would take a few hundred years for them to slowly recover. So what if the Sea Clan benefited? It would only be a few hundred years. To the ancient Baron's continent that could be calculated in tens of thousands of years, it was just a nap. However, if they left Qingchushan alone, then the human race would truly be exterminated from the blood world. In the future, their existence in the blood world would truly be exterminated. No matter what, Qingchushan must die. When Qingchushan saw the trace of madness in Jingbai's eyes, he was immediately startled. He couldn't understand Jingbai's persistence, nor could he understand his madness. In his opinion, Jingbai had really gone mad. He suddenly thrust his sword out again. It was fast and urgent, but it was erratic. Jingbai had already brought out 100% of his strength. He was determined to take down Chen Chushan even if he had to exchange injuries for injuries. Bang! Chen Chushan took Jingbai's sword head-on and retreated. His body was almost blown away. His expression suddenly changed and he was incomparably furious. Jingbai, I think you're really tired of living! Chen Chushan roared. This Jingbai actually wants to perish together with me for the sake of those ants in his eyes. Doesn't he know that in this world, there's nothing more precious than one's own life? As long as one's life existed, there would be hope for everything. However, if one's life is gone, what's the point of living? Boom! 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 Jingbai's originally elegant style was gone in an instant. What was left was a terrifying battle, a crazy battle, and an indomitable will. Even if there are millions of people, I'll continue. Facing such a crazy Jingbai, Qingchushan didn't dare to relax. If he was careless, he might be killed by Jingbai on the spot. Hee, let's perish together! Jingbai's eyes were filled with an unimaginable look of madness. Damn! Lunatic, you're really a lunatic. I don't want to perish together with you. I still have a long lifespan of several thousand years. I will certainly break through this damned limit and leave this damned blood world. I don't want to die together with you! Chen Chushan roared. His expression had become abnormally dignified. He couldn't understand why Jingbai was so crazy. However, he was very clear about one thing. If he couldn't defeat Jingbai, he might really perish together with him if he wasn't careful. His stature was tall and strong. Countless densely packed scales had begun to grow on his body. Numerous water vapors had gathered under his feet and formed monstrous waves. He was like the god of the sea that controlled everything. He had finally stimulated the bloodline in his body and restored his Sea clan's real body. He wanted to kill Jingbai. "Jingbai, you've forced me into this state. You deserve to die 10,000 times," Chen Chushan said. "I don't know how much blood she will be consumed in this battle. Perhaps, even I will age prematurely. However, it doesn't matter. The blood yuan pill refined from your essence blood is enough to make up for all the losses. Also, these ants below will become my blood food. They will be refined into blood yuan pills for me to eat," Qin Chushan said with a cold look in his eyes. It was as if he was looking at a lifeless ant. "The human clan is born to be the blood food of other clans. Don't you know that?" "Know what?" Jingbai just sneered. The long sword in his hand made a buzzing sound. "I only know that you will perish here today. No one can save you." Swoosh! The long sword emitted a white brilliance that instantly slashed towards Qin Chushan. Even though Qin Chushan had restored his Sea clan's real body and his strength was a notch higher, Jingbai still attacked without the slightest hesitation. Jie Jie. On the other side, the king of ghostly spirits directly clawed into the heart of an expert at the third sky of the Law Phase realm. He forcefully pulled out a blood-red heart and directly crushed it. His mouth let out a sinister laugh, and that expert immediately stopped breathing. At this time, he took a glance at the battle between Jingbai and Qin Chushan. He was secretly surprised. These two people could be called the peerless heaven's pride of their generation. Originally, Qin Chushan was born hundreds of years earlier than Jingbai. It was destined that he would be stronger than Jingbai for a long time. Perhaps, it would take 1,000 years for Jingbai to catch up with Chen Chushan's cultivation. However, he did not expect that they would meet in such a way in the blood world. It was hard to imagine that if it was him, he might not have too much confidence in facing either one of these two people. Jingbai was a person that even he was exceptionally afraid of. If there were a few more such experts in the human clan, perhaps the situation would be completely different. On the other side, the battle between Chang Zi and Fei Baifeng had also entered a white-hot stage. It was equally matched with the battle between Jingbai and Qin Chushan. The difference was that Chang Zi was obviously a notch higher than Fei Baifeng. The Dragon Striker Whip had beaten Fei Baifeng until he retreated step by step. Although it was difficult to injure Fei Baifeng in a short period of time, it was already shocking enough. However, he did not have the intention to rescue Fei Baifeng. Although they were cooperating, it was only that simple. Other than today, they would still be competitors, life and death enemies. Having such an expert less was not a bad thing for them. In their eyes this time, the human clan was completely finished. They had lost the ability to turn the tables. It was already a problem how many people could survive. With the destruction of this expert in the hands of the Ghost Spirit King, the formation formed by more than a dozen Transcendence Realm experts was instantly broken. Mr. Amano also instantly showed his prowess and easily blew the two experts apart on the spot with a gust of wind. Although they were all third sky of Transcendence Realm experts, these two people were obviously more than a notch higher than the others. Damn it, how could it be like this? The remaining experts' faces were abnormally ugly. At this time, Jingbai was blocked by the transformed Qin Chushan. Although Chang Zi had the upper hand against Fei Baifeng, it was only an upper hand. There were no signs of an immediate victory. If this continued, perhaps the entire situation would collapse. In the end, it was because they were not strong enough. More than a dozen people were helpless against two people. Wait a minute, you stop these people first. There are some things I want to confirm personally. The ghostly Spirit King's eyes suddenly looked at an inn in the city. His eyes were wandering. Suddenly, his heart palpitated, and the source of his palpitations was in that inn. It was as if there was a fierce beast lying in it, making him feel a terrifying threat. He had only felt this kind of feeling a few times in his life, but every time he felt it, it was accurate. Hence, he trusted his intuition very much. Could it be a backup arranged by the human clan? Impossible, this was simply impossible. Hence, he immediately decided to find out. As he spoke, he did not care about what young Master Amano said and directly flew down. You! Young Master Amano was a little speechless. He did not know what the ghostly Spirit King was going to do, but at this time, he did not have time to blame the ghostly Spirit King because more than a dozen third sky of Transcendence Realm experts had already besieged him. The ghostly Spirit King's figure instantly flew down. The wind blew by his ears, and his hair fluttered. There was a somewhat fierce look in his eyes. No matter what is in there, whether it is a fierce beast or a backup arranged by the human clan, it doesn't matter. All of you die! Spiritual essence condensed on his hands, exuding a terrifying wave of spiritual essence. It turned into a frenzy of energy, sweeping out in circles. Swish! Suddenly both of his hands moved. In the air, he directly clawed at an inn in the city. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. He was confident in himself. With this claw, regardless of whether there was an ambush or not, the people inside would die. It was impossible to survive. Chapter 11:30. Just as the pair of ghostly claws were about to grab the inn, a sharp sword chi came from the sky and swept out. Endless ice chi actually froze the surroundings. Boom! That pair of ghost claws fiercely collided with the long sword, and a huge explosion sound rang out. That group of ghost claws actually had a huge wound cut open. The ghost Spirit King screamed, and immediately retracted his hands. The huge wound on his hands was clearly visible, so deep that the bones could be seen. If not for the fact that his hands were not ordinary, just that sword strike just now would have cut his hands in half. Who? The ghostly Spirit King's expression was uncertain as he looked into the distance. He saw the figure of a woman standing leisurely. It was Yi Qianqian. Who are you? The ghostly Spirit King looked at the woman, and was somewhat surprised. He was very clear about his strength. He even dared to fight Jingbai. Although he did not use his full strength, he was very clear that it was already equivalent to the full strength of an expert at the third sky of the Transcendence Realm. Unexpectedly, his hands were cut by this sword. Get lost! Yi Qianqian only said concisely. What if I don't go? The ghostly Spirit King rolled his eyes and said coldly. As one of the 4 heavenly kings of the Southern Sea, no one had ever dared to ask him to get lost. This human woman had set a precedent. Then die! Yi Qianqian's eyes were calm, without the slightest hesitation. Ha ha ha! You are the first who dares to speak like this in front of me. The ghostly Spirit King was so angry that he laughed. In an instant, his body flew out and rushed in front of Yi Qianqian. Just as his hands were about to grab Yi Qianqian, suddenly, the long sword in Yi Qianqian's hand instantly pierced through the sky and accurately stabbed the ghostly Spirit King's throat. With an unimaginable speed, the sword actually stabbed the ghostly Spirit King's throat first. Ghostly Spirit King suddenly turned pale with fright. He hurriedly stomped his feet and his figure directly flew backward. Only then did he manage to avoid the sword. However, there was an additional frozen sword mark on his throat. It showed how urgent the situation was just now. If he had reacted a little bit slower, that sword would have killed him completely. He turned pale with fright. Who was this woman? She could actually threaten him. This was unprecedented. Even an expert at the third heaven of the Transcendence Realm could not pose any threat to him. Could it be that the threat he felt earlier was actually this woman? No! He immediately came to a realization. This woman was obviously guarding this inn. What was in this inn that could actually be guarded by this woman? This woman's strength was shocking and she could definitely be ranked among the peerless geniuses. She was even more terrifying than him, and could stand shoulder to shoulder with Jing Bai and the others. However, she was willing to hide in the crowd and protect this inn. It could be seen that there was definitely an extremely important person or item in this inn. What could be inside? His mind immediately became active. What if it was some kind of treasure? At the thought of this, greed took over his mind. You're very strong. I didn't expect that there would be an expert like you in the human race. Why didn't you attack? He asked, but his eyes were fixed on the inn. I'm only guarding him. The others have nothing to do with me, Yi Qianqian said faintly as if she was really indifferent. It was just like the scene when Yi Shiwen first met Yi Qianqian. If Yi Shiwen didn't reveal his identity as a human and stated that he was here to save her, she might have watched Yi Shiwen throw away his life and didn't care at all. In her heart, some people were important, and some people had nothing to do with her. Could it be that the person inside is your lover? Ghostly Spirit King said with a smile, trying to get some information from Yi Qianqian. If you want to die, I can fulfill your wish. Yi Qianqian's cold words made Ghostly Spirit King suddenly stagnant. In his eyes, an unusually cold murderous intention was released. Yi Qianqian's expression did not change. She didn't have any intention to attack. It seemed that she only wanted to protect Yi Shiwen in the inn. The others were not enough to make her raise her eyebrows. Suddenly, in the inn, a powerful aura gradually spread out. This is someone in closed-door training. Ghostly Spirit King was very experienced. He reacted almost immediately. This was a sign that someone was in closed-door training and was about to have a breakthrough. If it was in normal times, he might not even look at it. However, as this aura continued to rise, the sense of crisis in his heart also continued to rise. The feeling of fatal threat was also constantly increasing. This made him completely sure that the source of the uneasiness in his heart did not originate from others. It was not this woman, but the person in this inn. Thinking of this, he couldn't allow the person in the inn to have a successful breakthrough. Otherwise, he was afraid that it would really pose a threat to him. He was very confident in his intuition. He was calm and seemed to have given up. However, his divine sense swept towards the inn from time to time. However, the inn seemed to be isolated by something. It directly blocked the scanning of his divine sense. Sure enough, someone was having a breakthrough. He absolutely couldn't let him have a successful breakthrough. At this time, there were sounds of fighting all around. Suddenly, accompanied by a loud roar, a corner of the entire city wall collapsed. Countless blood fiends began to madly rush in. Suddenly, countless experts began to clamor. It must be known that they could still find a way to resist the blood fiends if they were blocked outside the city wall. However, now that the blood fiends had rushed in and they had lost the geographical advantage of the city wall, they were afraid that they would be in an even more miserable state. Sure enough, screams rang out one after another. Many experts inside the city wall were not prepared for the sudden collapse of the city wall. Hundreds of people were thrown to the ground and bitten to death by the surging blood fiends. In an instant, everyone was shocked, and they began to shout, wanting to block the blood fiends. If they didn't block the blood fiends and fill up the gap, then the army of blood fiends would continue to pour in, and they would truly be finished. These blood fiends and blood demons were controlled, so they didn't care about sacrificing themselves. They didn't know what fear was either. Their only thought was to tear apart the humans in front of them. However, these human martialists couldn't act like them. After all, they were living humans. Many people were terrified. However, they also knew that if they were to collapse, then they wouldn't stand a chance anymore. Why? Aren't you going to help? The ghostly spirit king seemed to be interested in watching the humans being slaughtered. He looked at Yi Qianqian with interest, as if he was trying to provoke her to help. Now that the entire blood fiend army was pouring in, the defensive line of the warrior organizations in the city was also torn open, and it was getting bigger and bigger. However, if an expert at the peak of the Transcendence Realm Third Sky could help, it would still be effective immediately. It was even possible to drive these blood fiends and blood fiends out. Yi Qianqian was unmoved. She had no intention of going out to help at all. It was as if the whole world was not as important as Yi Shiwen in her eyes. But at this time, Yi Qianqian didn't move. Jian Wushuang and the others immediately jumped down the city wall and rushed to the broken city wall. They began to besiege the blood fiends and blood demons that rushed in. With Jian Wushuang and Bai Hanmo as the arrowhead, they directly rushed into these blood fiends. With Yi Qianqian guarding there, everyone was relieved. Yi Shiwen would be fine for the time being. In the sky, the battle between Jing Bai and Qin Chushan had become more and more intense. Qin Chushan had countless large and small wounds on his body. There was a huge hole in his waist, constantly dripping blood. His scaly face was full of ferocious expression. He looked at Jing Bai fiercely, wishing to devour him alive. On the other hand, Jing Bai wasn't any better. There was a huge wound on his chest, and he was almost cleaved into two halves. Ha ha! The outcome is set! The outcome is set! Jing Bai, you are dead! Dead! The city wall is broken! You can't even hold on until the space opens. Ha ha ha! Originally, I just wanted to keep 1,000,000 humans alive to refine the blood yuan elixir. But now it seems that I can keep 1,000,000 people alive. Ha ha! Qin Chushan laughed, affecting the wounds on his body. The severe pain made his expression more ferocious, but he laughed even more happily. Beep! He put his finger in his mouth and blew a very loud whistle that resounded throughout the battlefield. In an instant, more than 20 tyrannical figures appeared from the void. They directly rushed into the collapsed city wall. Wherever these figures passed, the human clan's line of defense collapsed in an instant. These were actually more than 20 experts at the third sky of Law Manifestation Realm. They had been lurking just now, and now all of them emerged. All of them were experts of the Blood Union, just for this moment. With the addition of this new force, the entire defense line of the human clan was in danger. The human clan's third sky of Transcendence Realm experts were all entangled. Although they had joined forces to suppress Prince Amano, from another point of view, they were also being held back by Prince Amano. There was no way for them to escape and help the human clan. As a result, the human clan actually couldn't find anyone who could compete with them. This was absolutely unexpected. At this moment, in the inn, a grand aura began to boil from inside. Countless blood energies began to form a spiral and were sucked into it. Damn it! I don't care who you are. Go to hell! The ghostly spirit king bellowed. A pair of ghostly claws grabbed at the inn in the air. It was fast and urgent, almost as if it was a sudden clap of thunder. His speed was fast, and it was a surprise attack. Even Yi Qianqian couldn't save him in time. Just as the claws were about to reach the tavern, a cyan figure leapt out from the tavern and met the pair of ghostly claws head-on. Chapter 1131. Just as the claws were about to reach the inn, a cyan figure leaped out from it and attacked the pair of ghostly claws. Boom! There was an extremely terrifying collision, and a crisp sound of bones breaking came from the ghostly claws. The pair of ghostly claws had actually been smashed until the bones were broken. It could even be seen that there was some golden liquid left on the ghostly claws, which was constantly suppressing the qi in his body. It was very terrifying. Ah! The ghostly spirit king let out a blood-curdling scream. He had suffered a great loss in front of this cyan figure. He was too careless, too careless. He quickly withdrew his hands and tried to remove the golden divinity on his body. Then, he began to recover. It had to be said that the recovery ability of a top master at the peak of the third sky of the Law Phase realm was very strong. Although he had been seriously injured because of a moment of carelessness, he had almost recovered in a very short time. Who are you? The ghostly king looked at the cyan figure in front of him, and said, Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen said faintly, not avoiding his name. Then, he turned his head and smiled at Yi Qianqian. Yi Shiwen had seen how she had protected him just now. Go to the city wall and help. Leave this guy to me, he said. Okay. Yi Qianqian saw that Yi Shiwen had already come out, so she did not insist. She immediately turned into a streamer and flew toward the city wall. Clang! A shocking white sword light instantly fell from the sky and directly fell into the group of blood fiends and blood demons that had rushed in. The terrifying sword light directly killed hundreds of blood fiends and blood demons. Even more blood fiends and blood demons were immediately frozen. Then, a beautiful figure floated over. It was Yi Qianqian. Her first move was a thunderous move. She directly froze the broken part of the city wall, so that the blood fiends behind could not rush in. Good, very powerful. Who is this woman? How can she be so powerful? Yes, we were helpless, but in her hands, it was as if it was nothing at all. She directly killed it. I seem to know this person. She seems to be the person beside Yi Shiwen. It turns out to be the person beside Yi Shiwen. No wonder the experts are surrounded by the experts' friends. Everyone, hurry up and clean up the blood fiends here, then drive them out. At this time, everyone recovered from the shock brought by Yi Qianqian. They also understood that although Yi Qianqian had temporarily sealed the gap, she could not stop the blood fiends and blood demons for long. When they came to their senses, it was only a matter of time before the ice wall broke. Sure enough, terrifying roars came from the other side of the ice wall, as well as the sounds of some beasts attacking the ice wall. Everyone quickly worked together in twos and threes to eliminate the remaining blood fiends and blood demons within the city walls. On the other side, Ghostly Spirit King saw that Yi Qianqian was really going to help, so he wanted to stop her. He couldn't let her go there, otherwise all of their plans would fail and become a joke. He looked up to the sky and let out a long howl. Two ghostly claws appeared in the air. He wanted to claw Yi Qianqian to death and leave her no way out. And at this time, Yi Shiwen moved, a fist light blasted out. Bang! With a loud explosion, the pair of ghostly claws in the air exploded. Now your opponent is me, Yi Shiwen said coldly. He looked at Ghostly Spirit King in front of him and clenched his fists. Although I'm still a little short of breaking into the half-step law manifestation realm, it's more than enough to deal with you. That's right, at that critical moment, Yi Shiwen had already entered the half-step law manifestation realm, which was not too difficult for him. In fact, he could have entered the late-stage half-step transcendence realm a long time ago, but he had been delaying entering the late-stage half-step transcendence realm because he was very ambitious and wanted to break through to the transcendence realm in one go. He didn't want to be a mediocre expert in the transcendence realm after entering the law phase realm. Hence, he had to build his foundation, and the half-step late-stage law phase realm was his last chance to do so. Therefore, he had been delaying it, and did not directly enter the half-step law manifestation realm until the most critical moment just now. He had cultivated the half-step law manifestation realm middle stage foundation to the most perfect state and broke through. However, he did not have the time to consolidate this realm, nor did he have the time to push his cultivation to the peak of half-step law manifestation realm middle stage. Originally, this could be done in one go because he did not lack accumulation now. With the medicinal power of the 9 Orifices Divine Elixir, he could quickly enter the half-step law manifestation realm. Now, he could only do it in a battle. He had to digest the medicinal power of the 9 Orifices Divine Elixir little by little. For the huge medicinal power of the entire 9 Orifices Divine Elixir, he had only absorbed less than 1/3 of it. Everything was just the beginning. Ghostly Spirit King finally began to take Yi Shiwen seriously as an opponent. He was finally sure that the uneasy feeling in his heart really came from this guy in front of him. However, before he could think too much, Yi Shiwen, who he thought should be waiting for him to attacked first. The long sword in Yi Shiwen's hand instantly broke through the blood qi and went straight to the front of Ghostly Spirit King. Just a sweep of the long sword had swept out a terrifying aura. Ghostly Spirit King's face changed drastically. This kind of terrifying aura was rare even among the experts at the 3rd level of Law Manifestation Realm, and the one in front of him was just a kid at half-step Law Manifestation Realm middle stage. If it was in the past, if he did not personally confirm that his sense of insecurity was from this kid in front of him, perhaps he would not care about this guy at all. However, he did not expect this guy to be so terrifying. Nether Ghost Spin! the Ghost Spirit King gave a loud shout. His hands grabbed out countless evil spirits of the netherworld, and rushed towards Yishiwen. These were the resentful souls that had been defeated by the Ghost Spirit King. He didn't even let these resentful souls go. All of them had been collected into his own claw technique, and were accompanying him to resist the enemy. These resentful souls had already lost their minds, and only wanted to capture more people to accompany them in suffering. Boom! The most terrifying collision took place. The long sword in Yishiwen's hand and the ghost claw had an earth-shattering collision. But unlike a moment ago, Ghost Spirit King was now completely serious. He had already instilled countless Jinyuan into his hands. After many years of forging, his hands could even rival an earth-level divine tool. Moreover, as his skill continued to deepen, his hands also became more and more powerful. In the blink of an eye, there was an endless divine radiance that swept in all directions. Countless terrifying airwaves flattened countless buildings in the surroundings. Almost in an instant, a terrifying evil ghost appeared on that pair of ghostly claws. It suddenly appeared like a small mountain and slammed down towards Yishiwen. Boom! Yishiwen was caught off guard and was sent flying. He was just like a bulldozer, directly smashing through 5 or 6 houses, and finally came to a stop. Yishiwen didn't get angry. Instead, he laughed. He could feel that this claw attack had actually made the medicinal efficacies in his body open up a little bit. In other words, he had become stronger. How overbearing was his tyrant body! The injury just now was not serious at all. Moreover, he had the Phoenix regeneration technique to protect his body. Almost in a moment, his injury had recovered. And almost at the same time, Ghostly Spirit King had already caught up and appeared in front of him in a flash. That pair of old ghostly eyes were full of killing intent. He believed in his intuition. Since intuition told him that the guy in front of him was very dangerous, then the guy in front of him must be very dangerous. Although he could not see what was fatal at the moment, his killing intent was not reduced. He was able to survive until now not because he challenged many powerhouses, but because he killed all dangers in the cradle. Just when he was about to grab Yishiwen's head with his claw, he saw Yishiwen's sword chopping out a white sword chi, like a waterfall, chopping towards the Ghostly Spirit King. The Ghostly Spirit King was caught off guard and was hit by the white sword chi. His body was directly blown away. His body was almost chopped into 2 halves. If he hadn't dodged urgently, perhaps he would have been chopped into 2 halves by Yishiwen. But even so, his entire arm was split in half by Yishiwen's sword aura. How is it possible? Ghostly Spirit King vomited blood while looking at Yishiwen in disbelief. He could not believe that Yishiwen was actually so terrifying. Didn't you just get hit by my claw? Even if a master at the 3rd level of Law Manifestation Realm was hit by me, he would be seriously injured even if he did not die. How can you be fine? This is impossible. And what made Ghost Spirit King even more surprised was that Yishiwen had actually become even stronger than before. Although others might not be able to feel it, but Ghost Spirit King had just fought with Yishiwen. How could he not feel it? How is this possible? Generally, people who had just broken through, if they did not consolidate their realm and rushed into the battle, not to mention becoming stronger, they might not even be able to maintain the results of their breakthrough and directly fall back to the previous realm. How could he become stronger? But at this time, he had no time to think too much. He quickly used his martial art to stop the blood from gushing out from the wound on his body. Being distracted in the battle was simply courting death. At this time, Yishiwen did not seem to have the intention to take advantage of the chaos to attack. He just held his long blade upside down and approached step by step. Chapter 1132. He was like an Asura in the flames of war, an ancient overlord. As soon as he made his move, he completely suppressed the Ghostly Spirit King. He severely injured the Ghostly Spirit King with one sword strike. This made many people who were paying attention to this side extremely surprised, and they began to discuss. Is this person Yishiwen? Oh my god, he is too strong! Previously, he could use that saber to kill a master at the third level of the law manifestation realm. It is already scary enough, let alone now, he can actually seriously injure the ghostly Spirit King. Oh my God! Many people present were very clear about what kind of mission the ghostly Spirit King was. As the level got higher and higher, there might be only a few people in the entire circle. Everyone knew each other's details. Although they were not at the level of the ghostly Spirit King, Jingbai, and the others, they were not far away. For the top masters in their circle, they still knew that the ghostly Spirit King was an unreachable character for them. Previously, he seriously injured a master at the third level of the law manifestation realm with just one move. It could be imagined how strong he was. Now that he was defeated by Yishiwen, it was not that he was not strong enough. It could only be said that Yishiwen was too strong. Damn it! The ghostly Spirit King's expression began to waver. Suddenly, he roared and pounced toward Yishiwen. Go to hell! His remaining arm was burning with countless ghostly flames. It was exceptionally dark and terrifying. Then, he grabbed Yishiwen from the sky. Good timing! Yishiwen laughed loudly. There was a bit of fighting intent in his eyes. He rushed toward the countless ghost fires. Boom! 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 The shattered star fist that Yishiwen casually blasted out also had endless power. It could actually extinguish the ghost fire that the silent ghost Spirit King had spent many years to refine. The strength of both sides seemed to be clear at a glance, but Yishiwen didn't seem to have the intention to kill him in one breath. The battle between both sides rushed all the way to the sky. In this city, they could not fight freely at all. The ghostly Spirit King did not like this kind of environment where he was surrounded by enemies everywhere, especially when facing a terrifying opponent like Yishiwen. However, Yishiwen didn't want to destroy the entire city. Therefore, both sides had a tacit understanding and flew into the sky. The ghost Spirit King was startled and frightened. He discovered that Yishiwen's strength was constantly getting stronger, and he could feel it every time they exchanged blows. His heart was filled with fear. What kind of monster was this? It wasn't unheard of for someone to break through in the middle of a battle. In fact, as a Heaven's Pride expert, he had done this many times before. But generally speaking, that was when one had already accumulated to the peak. Only in the middle of a battle would one's strength increase due to a coincidence. But who has ever heard of continuous improvement? Almost every time they fought, he would be horrified to find that Yishiwen's strength was constantly improving. Yishiwen, who had just broken through, seemed to be weaker than him. Yishiwen was just relying on his tyrannical physique to fight with him. But now, Yishiwen's strength had surpassed him. What made him even angrier was that the person in front of him had no intention of ending this battle. Yishiwen actually used him as a stepping stone and a whetstone. Yishiwen wanted to take advantage of the battle to improve his strength to the peak. This made him feel ashamed and angry at the same time. Even Jingbai wouldn't dare to be so arrogant, and use him as a whetstone and a stepping stone. Arrogant, really arrogant. However, he didn't know that the medicinal power of the 9 orifices divine elixir in Yishiwen's body was melting little by little and integrating into Yishiwen's body as he continued to fight. These medicinal powers had long existed, but Yishiwen had no way to absorb them at all. His body was like a bucket. He was only a half-step law manifestation realm middle stage previously. The capacity of his body was limited. After reaching the peak, there was no way to continue to absorb more energy. Now that he had already entered the half-step law manifestation realm late stage, the capacity of his body was more than doubled or tripled. With such a huge gap, it would take a lot of time to refine the medicinal power according to the normal procedure. However, with the help of this fierce battle, the medicinal power was shaken off and integrated into his body. This could speed up the process. He was right. He had indeed become a whetstone for Yishiwen to improve his strength. However, although he knew that Yishiwen didn't use his full strength and didn't intend to kill him, he didn't dare to not use his full strength. This was because he realized that Yishiwen's control of his strength was simply wonderful. It was to the extent that he had to go all out. If he used less strength, he might be killed on the spot by Yishiwen. He was forced to use his full strength because he really couldn't figure out Yishiwen's thoughts. He didn't know when Yishiwen would suddenly make a heavy move and kill him. Therefore, he could only watch as Yishiwen became stronger. Ha ha ha, Qin, all of your plans have failed. Ha ha! Jingbai laughed. He also noticed that Yishiwen and Yi Qianqian had completely erupted. It could be said that the blood union originally had the upper hand. With the addition of Yishiwen and Yi Qianqian, the situation suddenly began to lean towards the side of the human clan. Yi Qianqian had blocked the gap with her sword, giving the experts of the human race time to clean up the blood fiends and blood demons inside the city wall. Yishiwen had completely suppressed the Ghost Spirit King by himself. His strength was so strong that even the Ghost Spirit King couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. When did such a tyrannical pair of experts appear among the young generation of experts in the Endless Sea region? However, although he wasn't sure, it didn't hinder his current carefree mood. There were too many crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the world. Even in the Eastern Sea region, there were many geniuses that had yet to be discovered, let alone experts from other sea regions. Compared to Jingbai's mood, Chen Chushan's face was livid. He was about to explode. He had painstakingly arranged and unified the experts of the Sea Clan, but the result was like this. Don't be happy too early. It's not the end yet. It's still unknown who will emerge as the winner. Chen Chushan sneered. It's still unknown who will emerge as the winner. However, you will definitely die in my hands. I won't let you escape. Otherwise, you will become a scourge for my clan. Jingbai's eyes became even more resolute. Originally, he was worried that if he were to fall, it would lead to the collapse of the entire defensive line. However, now that he saw the strong rise of Yishiwen and Yi Qianqian, although he didn't know who they were still experts of the human clan, weren't they? This completely resolved his worries and made him feel completely at ease. He was ready to die. He held the long sword in his hand tightly. If someone must be sacrificed, then let me do it. On the other side, Chang Zi's attacks became more and more urgent. She brandished the dragon striker whip, and it was so dense that even the wind couldn't get through it. She had completely suppressed Fei Baifeng. She was even more anxious in her heart. She understood Jingbai's style too well. She understood that he was ready to die. Even if he were to die, he must stay. It was ridiculous. Those people in the future had nothing to do with her. What about the imbalance of strength between the human clan and the sea clan in the future? What did it have to do with her? It was too far away. She couldn't think that far. The only thing she could think of was that he must not die. You must not die. Do you hear me? Before I allow you to. However, Fei Baifeng was the biggest obstacle if she wanted to go and support Jingbei. Although Fei Baifeng had fallen into a disadvantageous position, it wouldn't be easy to defeat or even kill him. Damn it! Are you looking down on me? Countless feathers condensed around Fei Baifeng's body. He looked gorgeous and elegant like an angel. However, he was a fallen angel. His feathers had been scattered by the dragon striker whip, and he looked a little embarrassed. However, he was thoroughly enraged when he saw that Chang Zi was still distracted by Jingbai's battle situation. Isn't he looking down on me? He immediately became furious. He frantically counterattacked with the countless feathers in his hand. Chang Zi wanted to go and support Jingbai. So, the only thing he could do was to prevent her from going and supporting Jingbai. It was very simple. It was that simple. On the other side, Yishiwen's imposing aura began to increase little by little. It seemed as if it would never end. This had already made the Ghost Spirit King feel despair. Despair didn't erase all of one's hopes all at once. Instead, it made one watch helplessly as all of one's hopes were erased. This was much more torturous than erasing all of one's hopes at once. The guy in front of him was actually getting stronger little by little. Moreover, he wasn't just getting stronger by a little. It seemed as if he was getting stronger without any limit. However, the Ghost Spirit King was very clear about one thing. It was that the guy in front of him wouldn't get stronger without any limit. In other words, the guy's strength would eventually stop. And the Ghost Spirit King was afraid that he wouldn't be able to escape when the guy's strength stopped. The Ghost Spirit King must take the initiative to escape before the guy becomes so tyrannical. He didn't hesitate as he thought of this. He slashed his claw towards Yishuan. Countless ghost shadows whizzed up. These were the resentful souls that he had accumulated over the years. However, he couldn't care so much at this time. After all, his own life was more important than anything else. Yishuan's hands glowed with countless golden lights, and directly tore these ghost shadows apart and suppressed them. These ghost shadows were the natural nemesis of the Supreme Divinity. He didn't need to move much in order to completely suppress and kill these ghost shadows. Then, he discovered that the Ghost Spirit King had turned around and left while attacking him. "You want to leave?" A cold look flashed in Yishuan's eyes. He took a step forward and chased after the Ghost Spirit King. Chapter 1133. The Ghostly Spirit King directly turned into a cluster of ghost fire and disappeared into the sky. His speed was extremely fast. This was his proudest character. 9 ghosts air traversing steps. His figure directly turned into 9 figures in an instant, constantly appearing in front of him layer by layer. Not only was the speed extremely fast, but it could also easily confuse everyone, making them unable to distinguish which one was the real one. Yishuan's figure almost instantly crossed the time and space, and instantly appeared in front of the Ghostly Spirit King. Compared to the Ghostly Spirit King's erratic and strange speed, Yishuan's speed was faster, and there was no erratic kind. Almost in an instant, Yishuan caught up with him. He was not confused by the ghost shadows that he split out at all. That pair of eyes as deep as the stars seemed to be able to see through some of the falsehoods. "How can it be so fast?" The Ghostly Spirit King was almost scared to death. "Impossible! How can your speed be faster than me?" Although Yishuan showed tyrannical strength just now, it was the first time such a terrifying speed was shown, so he was also scared. He was very confident in his 9 ghost air traversing steps. In the same rank, it could be regarded as one of the best. Although the speed might not be the fastest, in terms of the strangeness, no one could match it. But he was still caught up by Yishuan, and the ghost shadows that he split out seemed to have no effect at all. "Why can't I be faster than you? These are just your imagination." Yishuan sneered, and immediately did not stop. He directly made a move and directly blasted out a shattered star fist. Boom! As if a huge star suddenly hit his body, the Ghostly Spirit King's body immediately burst apart. He directly turned into a cluster of blood mist on the spot, and was absorbed by Tianyuan Mirror. Yishuan stopped, and shook his head slightly. It was a pity that an excellent whetstone was now gone. But it didn't matter. Although he had not reached the peak of the half-step law manifestation realm yet, he was not far from it. After a period of time, he would reach the peak. At that time, he could summon heaven's retribution at any time. At that time, he could truly step into the law manifestation realm. At that time, his strength was enough to be unrivaled in the law manifestation realm. In the eyes of the people in the underground city, he was simply like a shocking demon god. Even the Ghost Spirit King was not his match. Suddenly Yishuan felt that the blood energy under his feet was crazily shaking. Then, a huge crack appeared in the sky above the Oriental city. It seemed as if someone had torn it apart in the sky. Seeing this crack, many experts in the city began to cheer. With this crack open, they would be able to leave. "Everyone, let's work harder and kill these sons of bitches. Then we can leave this damn place. Kill! Leave no one alive!" Because of the opening of this spatial crack, everyone's moods suddenly seemed to have been greatly stimulated, and they frantically fought. Yishuan looked at the crack in front of him. This crack would last for more than a year until it completely closed. Those who couldn't leave before this would be left in the blood world forever. It was equivalent to never being reincarnated, To be trapped in the blood world for eternity, one could only imagine the pain. However, Yi Shiwen merely glanced at them. Immediately after, his figure flickered and appeared among the group of blood beasts and blood demons below. Boom! When Yi Shiwen's figure landed, it was like a falling mountain. The entire ground cracked on the spot, and the shockwave shook a large number of blood beasts and blood demons to death. However, these blood beasts and blood demons were basically crazy. At this time, they didn't care about the crowd that rushed in. Burial's sword! Yi Shiwen shouted, and a sword light in his hand slashed out. It split into countless sword lights in the void, and they all slashed down. Poochie! 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 Yi Shiwen's ears were filled with the sound of the sword light exploding in the flesh. A large area around was cleared in one move. Within a radius of hundreds of meters, there was not a single living blood beast or blood demon. Amazing! At this time, the people on the city wall couldn't help but be secretly surprised when they saw this scene. Because among them, many could only fight one-on-one against those blood beasts and blood demons. If the opponent was a law manifestation realm blood beast or blood demon, it could even become a situation of killing in all directions. However, these incomparably ferocious blood beasts and blood demons were like sheep in front of Yi Shiwen. They were slaughtered cleanly and cleanly. Among them, whether it was Transcendent Realm 9th level, half-step Law Manifestation Realm, or Law Manifestation Realm blood beasts or blood demons, there was no difference in Yi Shiwen's hands. They were all killed in one move. Under the suppression of the Blood Realm's rules, even if these blood beasts grew for thousands of years, they could only grow to the 2nd or 3rd level of Law Manifestation Realm at most. Even some old monsters who lived for a long time rarely appeared. This was already very shocking for them. Yi Shiwen had just launched an attack, and he had already displayed a strength that could completely crush their level. But if he continues to clean up like this, it will be useless no matter how vigorous his chi is. At this time, someone came out to disagree. However, it was not that they denied Yi Shiwen's combat power, but they were just worried. At this time, everyone came to a realization. Indeed, although Yi Shiwen's strength was very strong, his sword moves were powerful, but the consumption was great. If this continued, it would not take long for his chi to be exhausted. At that time, no matter how strong he was, he would be worn down by the blood beasts and blood demons. Yi Shiwen didn't know what everyone was thinking at this time. Even if he knew, he wouldn't care at all. After integrating the Star Beast's bloodline, the chi in his body was 10 times or even dozens of times that of ordinary people. It was not easy to exhaust him to death. Moreover, his tyrant body's recovery speed was extremely fast. It wouldn't take long at all. This consumption was nothing to him. Burial's sword! Burial's sword! Burial's sword! The entire battlefield was filled with Yi Shiwen's constant roar. His sword aura was boiling in the entire sky, and it was endless. Every time his burial sword technique spread out, a large number of blood beasts would be killed. He was like a human-shaped tank. Wherever he went, the blood fiends and blood demons would completely collapse. This was especially true for the blood fiends and blood demons at the wounds. Initially, they were extremely ferocious and arrogant. However, under the joint efforts of Yi Shiwen and Yi Qianqian, they were retreating. The strong performance of the two immediately boosted everyone's morale. At this time, everyone had a real understanding of the role of a top expert. A top expert could almost reverse the battle situation at the most critical moment. Yi Shiwen was more like a humanoid monster. The chi in his body was still abnormally vigorous, and there was no sign of it being cut off at all. Under the leadership of Yi Shiwen and Yi Qianqian, these blood beasts and blood demons were still frenzied, but they were still retreating. There was no way to resist at all. Many experts also joined the slaughter, especially those law manifestation experts, who joined the battle. For them, this was simply a feast. They constantly slaughtered these blood beasts, and seized the blood nuclei in their bodies. With Yi Shiwen and Yi Qianqian in charge, those powerful blood beasts and blood demons were often dealt with by Yi Shiwen and Yi Qianqian on the spot as soon as they emerged. The combat prowess of Law Manifestation 3rd level peak was unimaginable. In addition to these experts, those Transcendent Realm 9th level warriors and lower warriors also began to withdraw their formation and left through the crack. At this time, even if many people were unwilling to accept it, they had no other choice. Because they could see that unless the Blood Alliance was completely destroyed, as long as they were still here, they would be targeted. Those experts might still have the power to protect themselves, but if it was them, only death awaited them. Most importantly, not only the Blood Alliance, but even the Sea Clan had joined forces with the Blood Alliance. The situation had become worse. They had no choice but to stay. Due to Yishiwen and the others constantly clearing the blood beasts and blood demons in batches, everyone retreated in an orderly manner. There was no need to fight. As long as Yishiwen and the others were still here, they could retreat calmly. Among the tens of millions of people, at least 60 to 70% were Transcendent Realm 9th level warriors. However, everyone moved quickly. In just a moment, most of them had left. The originally crowded city suddenly became much emptier at this time. After the Transcendent Realm warriors left one after another, the half-step Law Manifestation experts who were still fighting also began to retreat according to their strength. The blood beasts and blood demons were almost wiped out, especially Yishiwen, who was a humanoid tank. With a slash of his sword, hundreds of blood beasts would fall under his sword. For him, Burial's sword that slashed hundreds of times consecutively was not a problem at all. Under his leadership, these blood beasts were quickly wiped out. Hence, these half-step Law Manifestation experts could retreat. It didn't take long for these half-step Law Manifestation experts to retreat. Only thousands of Law Manifestation experts were left. It seemed like a large number, but compared to the tens of millions of people, it was just a small handful. Moreover, these thousands of people were already the top geniuses in the Endless Sea region. These thousands of people could stand out from the tens of millions of people. They were the geniuses among the geniuses. Ha ha ha, Qin Shushan, your plan is completely useless. It's your turn next. Chapter 1134. Ha ha ha, Qin Shushan, your plan is completely useless. It's your turn now. Jing Bai's figure in the sky was like a white sword god. The long sword in his hand suddenly emitted a terrifying sword light. Countless sword lights gathered together, and formed an extremely terrifying lightsaber. Boom! The lightsaber fiercely slashed Qin Shushan's body. Qin Shushan groaned, and his body was sent flying. However, his blade light also ruthlessly slashed Jing Bai's body at the same time. Both sides suffered injuries, and fell from the sky one after another. Jing Bai actually wanted to fight to the death with Qin Shushan. He wanted to perish together with him. No one had expected this. Perhaps even Qin Shushan hadn't expected that Jing Bai would have such a resolution in the end. He wanted to keep Qin Shushan here, even if both sides suffered injuries, and died together. Kill him! Jing Bai barely managed to shout these words. His body could no longer maintain its balance, and directly fell down. Bai! Chang Zi screamed and instantly lashed out with the Dragon Striker Whip, binding Jing Bai. And at this time, Fei Baifeng finally broke free from Chang Zi's oppression. She immediately fled without caring about anything else. Although she had been suppressed by Chang Zi, she could see the entire situation very clearly. She understood very clearly that the Blood Alliance and the Oceanic Races Alliance had collapsed. If she didn't leave now, it would be too late. Yishiwen saw it clearly. He took a step forward, and was about to chase after Qin Shushan. He wanted to kill Qin Shushan, who was already gasping for breath. Yishiwen also had the same thought as Jing Bai. If Qin Shushan couldn't be eliminated, he would definitely become a big trouble. However, he saw a big hand coming from the horizon before he could kill Qin Shushan. It directly grabbed Qin Shushan and Fei Baifeng, and instantly took them away. After that, it instantly disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Damn it! They actually escaped! Yi Shiwen looked at the big hand that had already disappeared in the horizon, and suddenly felt somewhat depressed. He hadn't expected that there would be such an unforeseen event at the most critical moment. There was actually an expert hiding and hadn't participated in the battle, and was eyeing them covetously from the sidelines. Yi Shiwen wouldn't have missed it if he had participated in the battle earlier. Yi Shiwen had the same idea as Jing Bai. He also felt that Qin Chu Shan was a bigger threat than those sea race experts. He was an expert from the blood world who was hostile to the human race. So, he would pose a huge threat to the human race experts who would participate in the Scarlet and Fire trial in the future. On the other hand, the experts of the oceanic race were fine. They couldn't stay behind anyway. After Qin Chu Shan and Fei Baifeng left the battlefield, young Master Amano was the only one left. He couldn't escape from everyone's encirclement. Especially when he saw Jing Bai and Chang Zi, who was on the verge of death, he went berserk and attacked young Master Amano frantically. He even personally injured young Master Amano before killing him. Amano was probably the most depressed one among them. He had only been showing off for a short while before he was surrounded by the crowd and finally died in the hands of Chang Zi. The blood world was as lively as ever. Although there were fewer human race experts, the number of sea race experts was several times that of human race experts. Although there were fewer human race experts, the entire blood world was bustling with activity. Especially after the human race had left, the experts of the three great sea races had gathered in the deepest part of the blood world, the Blood Sea. In the past, even the experts of the human race and the oceanic race who had come to the blood world for the trial would rarely come to this place. That was because it was said that an extremely terrifying old monster was sleeping in the Blood Sea. However, this was only a legend. Many people had never seen it. However, many people also swore that an unknown monster was sleeping in the Blood Sea. It was also recorded in the records of many sects and powers. Therefore, even the Eastern City, which was established by a colossus like the Eastern Sea region, was actually quite a distance away from the Blood Sea. It was to avoid the legendary monster within the Blood Sea. Although many years had passed, it was still recorded in the records of many forces that the monster had once annihilated the young experts of an entire world. Since then, the Blood Sea had become a place that countless forces had warned against stepping foot into. It wasn't only the forces of the human race. It was also the same for the oceanic race. But now, the oceanic race, led by the three great sea races, as well as a large number of experts from the large sea races, had all gathered in the Blood Sea. Soon, a piece of news spread among the experts of the oceanic race. It was said that the extremely terrifying monster had reached the end of its lifespan and was about to die of old age. This immediately attracted the greed of countless experts. However, this news had always been sealed among the oceanic race. Unexpectedly, the human race had not received any news about it. And this news was said to have come from an extremely daring expert of the oceanic race who had entered the Blood Sea and unexpectedly found the legendary monster. It was already very old and was about to die of old age. As this news spread, more and more information slowly leaked out. The legendary monster was actually a blood demon. Moreover, it was a blood demon ancestor. As for the Blood Alliance, the blood demons of unknown origins were raised in the Sea of Blood. Countless blood demons lived in the Sea of Blood, and according to the legends, the monster which had once exterminated the experts of the younger generation in an entire world was none other than Patriarch Blood Demon. It was unknown how long Patriarch Blood Demon had existed in the Blood Sea. It had always been hibernating in the Blood Sea, and rarely came out. Therefore, many people had never heard of it. Only the Blood Alliance knew a bit more about it. Although the legacy of the Blood Alliance had been severed for many years, it had once been in existence that had nearly conquered the entire blood world. Later, more information came to light. The reason why the Blood Alliance had been completely annihilated was because they had recklessly captured more and more blood demons from the Blood Sea. The more they captured, the more blood demons they captured. In the end, the blood demon ancestor in the depths of the Blood Sea was alarmed. In the end, the Blood Demon ancestor attacked and completely destroyed the Blood Alliance. Is this the reason why the Blood Alliance was destroyed? At the edge of the Blood Sea, a cyan figure stood high in the sky, looking at the surging Blood Sea in front of him. Waves of fishy wind blew in his face. According to the legends, the Blood Sea was the core of the entire Blood world. The blood chi that filled the entire Blood world also came from the Blood Sea. However, no one could truly explain it clearly. The entire Blood world had been formed far too early. In fact, it had been formed much earlier than many of the forces in the Endless Sea region. The Blood Sea had already existed when the Blood world had appeared. As for what secrets it was hiding, no one knew. Yi Shiwen sighed. It had already been a month. It had been a month since the human race had completely withdrawn from the Blood world. He had also been searching for the whereabouts of Chen Chushan for a whole month. In the end of that battle, even Jing Bai was severely injured. In addition, his original injuries might not have healed completely. As a result, he was directly injured and almost died. The reality did not allow him to continue to stay. He was directly taken away by Chang Zi and returned to the Eastern Sea region. On the other side, Jian Wushuang, Yi Qianqian, Yao Qian and the others originally wanted to stay. However, they were persuaded by Yi Shiwen to return. Hence, in the end, only he remained in the Blood world. It could not be ruled out that there were other human race experts lurking in the Blood world. However, they could only be sporadic individuals. Basically, they could not pose too much of a threat. The Blood world had completely become the world of the Sea Clan. Yi Shiwen disguised himself as an expert of the Sea Clan. He lurked among the Sea Clan and searched for traces of Chen Chushan. Unfortunately, even though the Sea Clan and the Blood Alliance had once joined forces, the reputation of the Blood Alliance was still not very good among the Sea Clan. Recently, there had even been a few conflicts. The facts proved that an alliance formed by benefits was the most fragile and unreliable. Originally, the people of the Blood Alliance planned to hunt down a large number of human race experts and refine them into blood yuan pills. After that, they could save a lot of effort. However, as the plan failed and a large number of experts were defeated, the Blood Alliance was far from having enough blood yuan pills to last until the next opening of the Blood world. Hence, the Blood Alliance targeted the Sea Clan. After watching from the sidelines for so long, the Sea Clan finally felt the helplessness of the human race experts when they were targeted by the Blood Alliance. Although the Sea Clan had more experts than the human race, they were the same as the human race. They were also divided into different clans, different sects and forces. They could not unite together at all. When facing the elusive Blood Alliance, there was nothing they could do. Because of this, they suffered a lot of losses. However, even if they reported it, many of the high-level experts of the Sea Clan were gathered in the Blood Sea. They could not spare any energy to deal with these things. This caused the relationship between the Sea Clan and the Blood Alliance to worsen. Yi Shiwen hid among the Sea Clan. It was extremely difficult for him to find any information about Chen Chushan. Regarding this, Yi Shiwen just sneered and said that it was just a dog-eat-dog situation. If the Blood Alliance wanted to survive, they would need a large number of blood yuan pills. In the situation where the human race had withdrawn from the Blood world, the Sea Clan had become the inevitable target. It was like some hibernating animals that needed to store enough food before they passed the winter. In the eyes of the Blood Alliance, whether it was the human race or the Sea Clan, they were all targets to be hunted. They were nothing more than food. There was no difference at all. Because of the bad relationship between the two sides, even Yi Shiwen could only find out that Chen Chushan had recently appeared in the Blood Sea. It seemed that he had come for the completely aged Blood Demon ancestor. Yi Shiwen could already feel that there was a storm in the Blood world. All the experts of the Sea Clan seemed to have their eyes on the Blood Demon ancestor. They wanted to obtain something from him. Yi Shiwen thought. He took a step and his figure directly swept into the Blood Sea. Chapter 1135. The Blood Sea was turbulent. Although it seemed to be an inland sea, the stormy waves were much more ferocious than those in the Endless Sea region. With Yishuan's current eyesight, he could not see the entire Blood Sea. This Blood Sea was much larger than he had imagined. In the stormy waves of the Blood Sea, there were many blood demons hidden. They roared and slapped the waves higher. These blood demons were wilder and more dangerous than those captured and domesticated by the Blood Union. Crash! A wave directly slapped towards Yishuan. There were dozens of blood demons hidden in it. They screamed and rushed towards Yishuan. Obviously, it was a small tribe. There was even a law manifestation realm blood demon among them. Catch it for me! Yishuan shouted loudly. His big hand stretched out in the air and turned into a cloud of fire, directly grabbing the wave. The blood demons inside had no way to escape from Yishuan's big hand and were caught by him. Roar! 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 These blood demons struggled frantically in Yishuan's hand and let out terrifying roars. Compared to the blood demons of the Blood Union, these blood demons are much more difficult to deal with. Yishuan could feel the strength of those blood demons constantly struggling in his hand, and he could carefully distinguish them. After that, he grabbed with his big hand, and the blood demons immediately burst into a mass of blood mist, which was then absorbed by Tianyuan mirror. This also indirectly confirmed the saying that the blood demons in the Blood Union were captured from the Blood Sea. Many of the blood demons captured by the Blood Union had their consciousness erased and brainwashed. Thus, they became the loyal lackeys of the Blood Union. Only a few blood demons who could enter the half-step law manifestation realm, or the law manifestation realm, had the chance to regain their consciousness. Yishuan did not stop immediately, and continued to rush into the depths of the Blood Sea. Along the way, the blood demons hidden in the waves were almost killed by him in an instant. They could not get close to his body at all. In more than a month, Yishuan had already pushed his cultivation to the peak of the half-step Transcendence Realm late stage. In terms of combat power, he could easily defeat a Transcendence Realm Third Heaven expert. His strength was even more tyrannical than a month ago. The medicinal power of the 9 Orifices spirit pill was constantly melting in his body, constantly integrating into his body, pushing his skills to constantly rise. Although he hadn't entered the Transcendence Realm yet, his skills were still rising because of the 9 Orifices divine elixir. Suddenly, Yishuan sensed a few familiar auras flying over from afar. He immediately dived into the Blood Sea and restrained all his auras. Not long after, sure enough, a few figures swept across the sky. The one in the lead was a handsome man with a heroic bearing. He was an outstanding figure. Behind him, there were 2 other figures. One of them was Fei Baifeng, who had escaped earlier. Beside her, there was an ordinary-looking man with a medium build. The speed of this small team of 3 was extremely fast. They swept across the sky above the Blood Sea. Every one of them was an outstanding figure in the Transcendence Realm, and they were extremely powerful experts. Yishuan immediately followed them without batting an eyelid. However, he had been hiding in the Blood Sea. Because his speed was too fast, even the blood demons in the Blood Sea couldn't react in time. They watched him rush over and roar one after another. However, it didn't alert the 3 people in the sky. In this Blood Sea, the roars of these blood demons couldn't be more normal. The entire Blood Sea was extremely noisy, and more than half of it was caused by the roars of these blood demons. Although there were some blood demons who tried to stop the 3 people along the way, they were completely useless against these 3 fierce people. They were torn to pieces on the spot, and they couldn't stop the speed of these people in the slightest. At this time, the mediocre man beside Fei Baifeng said, "We need to be faster. Otherwise, it won't be good if those Southern Sea bastards get ahead of us." "Humph, they want to get ahead of us. Although that blood demon ancestor is old and dying, if we underestimate him, we'll suffer a great loss," said the handsome man in front of them with a cold snort. "It's not just us. The people from the Western Sea region and the Blood Union have all received the news, as well as some of the rogue cultivators. If they can kill Patriarch Blood Demon before we get there, then that's fine. Otherwise, those fellows from the Southern Sea region will just be helping us make a wedding dress. But no matter what, that guy Niefian is quite capable," Fei Baifeng said. If he kills Blood Demon Ancestor first and obtains the Blood Realm Heart, then we'll be in big trouble in the future. Don't worry, he won't be able to get it, the handsome man said. That thing is very important to the Northern Sea. Only when it's in the hands of the Northern Sea can we feel at ease. Blood Realm Heart? What's that? Yi Shiwen immediately frowned. Although he knew that the experts of the sea race were targeting Blood Demon Ancestor, who was about to die of old age, he didn't know the specific reason. What is this Heart of the Blood Realm? He hadn't received any information about it before. The sea race had kept this information a secret. Even the human race didn't know about it. The reason why they chose to cooperate with the Blood Union and drive out the human race was probably because of this Blood Realm Heart. But what exactly is this thing? Yi Shiwen felt that he seemed to have grasped some clues about the matter. Since everyone was going for the Blood Realm Heart, that meant that Qin Chu Shan would also go there and try to get rid of it in one go. Although he didn't know what this Blood Realm Heart was, since the sea race didn't hesitate to drive out the human race at all costs, he couldn't let them get their hands on it. If they wanted to get their hands on something, they would just destroy it. Qin Chu Shan was the main goal of this trip. If he couldn't get rid of Qin Chu Shan, then the human race would gradually have to give up on the trial of the Blood Realm. As Yi Shiwen gradually approached the depths of the Blood Sea, he discovered that the number of blood demons was increasing. They were so densely packed that Yi Shiwen had no choice but to give up on the idea of escaping into the depths of the Blood Sea. He could only wait for the 3 experts from the Northern Sea to pass before following them from behind. When he entered the depths of the Blood Sea, he discovered that it was a chaotic battle. Countless sea race experts revealed their true forms and fought with the countless blood demons in the Blood Sea. There were at least 1 million of them, and the weakest were elite sea race experts who were half a step into the Transcendence realm. Most of them were the blood demons. The blood demons, who were originally somewhat rational, seemed to have gone crazy at this moment. They attacked the warriors of the Sea Clan in a frenzy. A terrifying battle broke out between the two sides. And in the center of the battlefield, in the middle of the Blood Sea, a huge figure hundreds of meters tall was tossing and turning in the Blood Sea. Every single movement of it could set off terrifying waves. At this moment, his entire body was trapped by a set of arrays. And the ones who had set up the formation were the experts of the Southern Sea. Hundreds of Transcendence Realm experts were all gathered together, working together to set up a shocking formation that firmly locked the Blood Demon Ancestor within. And on the other side, hundreds of Transcendence Realm experts were constantly bombarding the huge figure through the formation. Needless to say, Yi Shiwen immediately realized that the one trapped inside should be the one who had destroyed the previous competition, and the one who had personally exterminated the Blood Union, Ancestor Blood Demon. Even though he was now old, he still had such power. It was hard to imagine what kind of ferocious and matchless appearance he had when he was at his peak. The entire battlefield was in chaos, but overall, there was still a clear hierarchy. In the center was Patriarch Blood Demon. Slightly outside were the Southern Sea region's most elite forces, numbering over 1,000 Transcendence Realm experts. On the periphery were over 1 million elite martial artists of the Southern Sea region. Of course, there weren't many of them belonging to the Southern Sea. However, they were all experts belonging to the Southern Sea's subordinate large, medium, or small sea regions. At this moment, all of them were gathered together. They were in charge of resisting the blood demons in the periphery, buying time for the Transcendence Realm experts. The blood demons in the outermost area consisted of both half-step Transcendence Realm and Transcendence Realm experts. Most of them were Transcendent Realm blood demons. At this moment, they surrounded and attacked the blood demons in a frenzy. The Blood Demon Ancestor was already surrounded and killed. To them, this was the equivalent of their monarch being surrounded. At this moment, how could they not crazily rush inside? However, this time, the Southern Sea race was determined to surround and kill the Blood Demon Ancestor. Countless experts blocked the Blood Demon Ancestor outside. Even if they suffered heavy casualties, they would rather die than take a step back. For the sake of obtaining the Blood Realm's core, everyone went crazy. Outside the formation, one of the Southern Sea race's 4 heavenly kings, Nephian, coldly stared at the blood demon ancestor within the formation. Although the blood demon ancestor was trapped by the formation, it still possessed a ferocious aura. Its wrinkled, blood-colored face revealed a ferocious expression. Its lantern-like eyes illuminated tens of thousands of miles. Its entire body was burning with terrifying blood-colored flames. No one dared to approach it, and they could only attack it from afar. This was a monster that had existed for an unknown period of time. It had survived until now, and had finally entered its old age. It was about to die of old age. Even so, it wasn't something that an ordinary person could underestimate. Chapter 1136. That was why he was being so careful. He knew exactly how terrifying the creature in front of him was. In the outside world, things would have been much easier. The elders of the sect and the experts of the clan would have been able to find someone powerful to deal with Patriarch Blood Demon. Even when he was at his peak, he would still dare to stroke the tiger's whiskers, let alone now that he was on the verge of death. But now that they were in the bloody thief world, this ferocious creature was still very terrifying. Even though he was already old, just a casual scratch from it was enough to seriously injure a law-phase realm expert. If it weren't for the dragon trapping formation, then it wouldn't matter how many people came. This was the absolute difference in strength. It was just like how he had personally annihilated tens of millions of experts in the Blood World trial by fire. They were almost there, they were finally almost there. It was time to deal a fatal blow to the old man. But he was starting to get anxious. Although the scene was chaotic, and the aura was chaotic, he could sense that some uninvited guests had arrived. Previously, in order to prevent the humans from learning of Patriarch Blood Demon's whereabouts, the Sea Folk had only sent a small number of people into the Blood World to search for Patriarch Blood Demon. After all of the humans had retreated from the Blood World, the Sea Folk had sent a large number of people into the Blood World to search for him. Among these forces were experts from the 3 great seas. Almost all the other seas were dependent on the 3 great seas. At this time, they didn't dare to disobey the orders of the 3 great seas. The 3 sides began a thorough search. Finally, the heavens did not disappoint those who tried. The Southern Sea was the first to find Patriarch Blood Demon. "The news must have spread by now," he murmured to himself. He looked at the figure of Patriarch Blood Demon with even more determination. Not much time had passed, and there shouldn't be too many experts from the other 2 great seas. Gathering so many people wouldn't be a simple matter, but that didn't stop some of the top experts from coming. Some of the faster Transcendence Realm experts had already arrived, and he had already sensed some experts who couldn't hide their aura as well. Although there were more than 1,000 Transcendence Realm experts present, most of them had to enter the dragon trapping formation to suppress Patriarch Blood Demon's square frame. The other half had to attack Patriarch Blood Demon with all their strength. If something happened, they wouldn't be able to stop it. What's more, if it was a 3rd Heaven Transcendence Realm expert, or an even stronger expert, they probably had no way to stop it. A peak expert was not someone they could casually stop. This was also the reason why he had only watched and not taken action. If even he were to take action, it would mean that the Southern Sea region had gone all out this time, and there was no room for negotiation. If anything were to happen, it would likely result in disastrous losses for the Southern Sea region. Although they knew that being the first to make a move would likely attract the attention of the other experts, being the first naturally had its own benefits. Taking advantage of the fact that no one else had time to react, they could kill Patriarch Blood Demon. That way, they would be able to benefit immensely. The heart of the Blood Realm would also fall into their hands, and they wouldn't have to fight to the death with others. There were pros and cons, and the most important thing was whether or not he could seize the moment and kill Patriarch Blood Demon before the other experts could react. Time. It was getting more and more urgent. Nephian clenched his fists and thought to himself. Off in the distance, Yishuan was hidden in the void, staring fixedly at the figure that was several hundred meters tall. Patriarch Blood Demon, the heart of the blood world. It didn't matter what it was, he wanted it. Yi Shiwen hid his aura and spread out his divine sense. Although his cultivation level was not as high as Niefian's, his sensitivity to auras was 10 times higher than Niefian's. Very quickly he sensed that the sky was filled with powerful and terrifying experts. All of them were staring at the group from the Southern Sea region. He could clearly see that among these people, the weakest was at the peak of the second heaven of the Transcendence realm. There were even many experts at the third heaven of the Transcendence realm. There were even quite a few existences at the peak of the third heaven of the Transcendence realm. He couldn't even accurately judge the individual auras, but they had already surpassed the third heaven of the Transcendence realm. Yi Shiwen felt his scalp go numb. Although these auras were well hidden, they couldn't hide from his senses. Therefore, he knew better than Niefian that it wasn't just Fei Baifeng and the other two who had come with him. There were also many experts with tyrannical auras nearby. Each aura was overbearing and unimaginably powerful. Clearly, the matter of Patriarch Blood Demon had attracted these people from all directions. And this was under the circumstances that the human experts weren't here. If the human experts were here, then the number of people would increase by a lot. This was far more than just a small number. Under these circumstances, it wouldn't be easy to snatch the heart of the blood world. Moreover, Yi Shiwen didn't even know what the heart of the blood world was. Yi Shiwen's relentless search quickly led him to Qin Chushin's location. He was high up in the sky, and beside him were several experts at the third heaven of the Transcendence realm. They were all staring at Patriarch Blood Demon like tigers watching their prey. However, apart from Qin Chushan, there wasn't any other expert who had the ability to sweep across the entire blood world. Although the Blood Alliance was powerful in the blood world, it couldn't be compared to the top giants like the 4 Super Sea regions. Many of their members were formed by people who accidentally stayed here. Among them, there were top geniuses like Qin Chushan, but most of them were ordinary people. Especially the Blood Union, which had only just begun to rise after the last Blood World trial. If it wasn't for the fact that they had hundreds of years of cultivation compared to the younger generation, they might not even be able to gather these experts at the third heaven of the Transcendence realm. Although they hid very well, for Yi Shiwen, as long as there was an aura, there was basically nowhere to hide. Relying on the restraining breath technique, Yi Shiwen had avoided ambushes many times and identified danger. Yi Shiwen's divine sense swept over them, and he immediately knew. Just as Yi Shiwen's divine sense was about to leave, suddenly, he heard an expert from the Blood Union say, "Union leader, is the heart of the blood realm really inside Patriarch Blood Demon's body?" "That's right, it's inside his body. Patriarch Blood Demon is the first blood demon in the blood world. He was raised by nature, and is completely different from the other blood demons. The blood core in his body is the heart of the blood realm. Whoever controls the heart of the blood realm can control the entire blood world. In other words, this is the key to controlling the entire blood world. As long as we can control the heart of the blood realm, we can freely enter and leave the blood world. We will never be trapped by the blood world again. Therefore, we must control the heart of the blood realm. No matter who it is, they can't stop me," Qin Chushan said with an abnormally firm expression. The heart of the blood realm was actually the blood core in Patriarch Blood Demon's body. Yi Shiwen's mind trembled. So that's how it was. No wonder these people wanted to target Patriarch Blood Demon. Controlling the heart of the blood realm meant that one could freely enter and leave the blood world. No wonder the people from the Blood Union were so determined to get their hands on the heart of the blood world. To the people of the Blood Union, the most painful thing was that they would die of old age at an accelerated rate. Their cultivation base would be suppressed, and their movements would be restricted. They could only stay in the blood world, with no way to leave. It was easy to imagine how attractive it was to the people of the Blood Union. "Is that why the Union leader sent the news to the sea race?" the man continued. "Yes, let's drive the humans away first. Originally, we wanted to refine them into blood Yuan Dawn. If we succeeded, we wouldn't have to worry about the shortage of blood yuan dawn for at least 1,000 years. Unfortunately, we let them escape, so we have no choice but to attack the sea race. Now, the sea race is very vigilant against us. Their strength is much greater than that of the humans. Chen Chushan indifferently said. But it doesn't matter. Once we obtain the heart of the blood realm, we will be able to crush them. If we don't want to open the space gate to the blood world, then we won't open it. We can freely enter and leave the blood world. The previous restrictions on us will no longer exist. On the contrary, the blood world will become our base of operations. No one will be able to enter it. Chen Chushan was very ambitious. Yi Shiwen suddenly became vigilant in his heart. This Chen Chushan's ambition was far greater than what he had previously thought. He actually wanted to control the entire blood world. If he couldn't eradicate this Chen Chushan, then the human race might really perish in the blood world. Why don't we do it ourselves? Why do we need to let the sea race know? The man asked. This old guy isn't easy to deal with. Someone had plotted against him a long time ago. When the news had spread, the young experts of the entire blood world had gathered in the blood sea. They wanted to seize the heart of the blood world. Unfortunately, he was in his peak condition at that time. So, all the people who had gone to him had no choice but to die a tragic death. We alone wouldn't have been able to shake this old guy if the sea race hadn't taken action. The most important thing is that we can't wait for him to die. After all, the heart of the blood world inside his body will turn into nothingness if he dies. Then, it will disappear from the blood world again until a new blood demon ancestor is born. But he is completely old now. So, this is our only opportunity, Chen Chushan calmly said. Chapter 1137. We have to extract the heart of the blood realm from his body. Otherwise, everything will be meaningless. Whether or not we can leave this damned place will depend on whether or not we can leave this damned place. Do you want to crawl under the feet of your juniors and lick their toes in the hope that they will let us live and let us leave the blood realm? Chen Chushan said. The other experts of the blood union shook their heads. They felt like a nightmare when they thought of that scenario. In order to survive, they had given up their pride. In order to survive, they used all sorts of methods to refine blood yuan pills. They didn't become demons, but they were even more ferocious than demons. However, if the heart of the blood realm fell into the hands of other experts of the Sea Clan, they would have no other choice but to crawl under their feet and beg for their lives. Because once the heart of the blood realm was grasped, whether or not to open the passage to the blood realm depended on the opponent's thoughts. Those experts of the sea race could just choose not to enter the blood realm, but it was very likely that they would die in the blood realm. At that time, what else could they do? Pride and dignity were just ridiculous bullshit. In order to prevent the most terrifying thing from happening, they had to control the heart of the blood realm. They had to. Whoever stood in their way would be their mortal enemy. Thinking of this, an unimaginable sharpness flashed in their eyes. Their killing intent began to surge. Only by controlling the heart of the blood realm will we have a way out. From now on, we will not be the human clan, nor the oceanic clan, nor the devil clan, nor the dragon clan. We will establish our own clan, the blood clan, and all of you will become the progenitors of the blood clan. As Chen Chushan spoke, his eyes flickered with madness. Compared to his crazy idea, those who established their own clans and sects were nothing. They were too petty. He wanted to add another clan to the countless clans in the ancient Baron's continent, and he would be the ancestor of the blood clan. His name would be remembered by the people in the future. Whether it was respect or fear, it didn't matter. The ancestor of the blood clan? Yi Shiwen sneered disdainfully. Go to hell and become an ancestor. He had heard a shocking secret from Chen Chushan, which made him want to withdraw his divine sense. However, he immediately eliminated the idea of withdrawing his divine sense. Instead, he locked his divine sense on them from afar, and tried not to attract their attention as much as possible. After all, Their cultivations were extremely strong. If they were not careful, they could still be discovered. As time went by, the blood demons in the outer endless sea became more and more frenzied. They attacked the defensive line of all the cultivators in the southern endless sea more and more fearlessly. Back in the inner sea, Patriarch Blood Demon was growing older and older. Perhaps these southern sea martial artists weren't able to cause any fundamental damage to him, but he was no longer at his peak. Such a high-intensity battle was starting to take its toll on him. The most obvious thing was that his movements were getting slower and slower. Although he was still very powerful, the slowing down of his movements already proved that he had entered a declining state. In the situation where he could not shake off the dragon trapping array for a while, it could be said that he was not far from death. A bit further away, hundreds of Transcendence Realm experts were constantly bombarding each other with their most powerful martial arts. The surging attacks constantly passed through the array and bombarded Patriarch Blood Demon's body. Originally, their attacks couldn't even get within 300 meters of Patriarch Blood Demon before they were completely wiped out by the blood-colored flames on his body. But gradually, the blood-colored flames became less dazzling and dimmer. Everyone's spirits were lifted. This old guy was finally reaching his limit. Everyone, keep it up! This old monster is almost dead! If we can obtain the heart of the Blood Realm, the Southern Sea will definitely not be stingy with your rewards. At this time, the aloof Nephian spoke to raise everyone's spirits. Everyone's spirits were lifted. It was almost over. It was almost over. This was especially true for the half-step Transcendence Realm experts who were stubbornly resisting the blood demons. Most of their Transcendence Realm experts had been transferred away to deal with Patriarch Blood Demon. There were only a few Transcendence Realm experts among them. There were many Transcendence Realm experts among the blood demons. Every time a Transcendence Realm blood demon launched a surprise attack, it would be a massacre. If it weren't for the millions of experts keeping watch and the fact that they were the best of the sea tribe, they would have been defeated by these Transcendence Realm blood demons. Even so, they could only barely hold on. They were in danger of collapsing at any time. Now, it was finally time to reap the rewards. Nephian? Yishuan looked at the tall figure in the sky. Although he didn't know Nephian, he knew who he was. It couldn't be helped. After all, Nephibai had died tragically at his hands. Although Nephian had died at Hao Tsung's hands in the end, it was still greatly related to him. In the future, Nephian might find out that Nephibai's death was related to him. Therefore, he had always been collecting information about Nephian, one of the 4 heavenly kings of the Southern Sea region. Obviously, compared to the ghostly Spirit King, one of the 4 heavenly kings, Nephian's strength was not just a little bit stronger. Even though they were both part of the 4 heavenly kings, the difference in strength between them was huge. He could feel that Nephian was starting to get anxious. Logically speaking, the Southern Sea region should be happy that they were about to take down that ferocious creature. What was there to be anxious about? There was only one conclusion. Nephian had probably also sensed that a group of people was waiting for this opportunity. The mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the oriole behind. But now that there was a group of orioles around, what would he, the mantis, do? Who would be able to succeed? Yishuan was determined to get the heart of the Blood Realm. How could he let such a good thing fall into the hands of the Blood Union and the Sea Tribe? The strength of this Blood Demon Patriarch is indeed incomparably powerful. Even when he is about to die of old age, he still possesses such strength. I'm afraid that even the North Mountain clan chief that I met back then wasn't this terrifying, said Yishuan faintly. So far, the most powerful and terrifying person he had ever seen was the North Mountain clan chief of the North Mountain clan, who chased him all the way from the ancient Barrens mainland to the flourished Cloud Sea region. At that time, he could only be described as fleeing in panic. If he hadn't sacrificed the Star Beast avatar in the end and allowed the North Mountain clan chief to kill him, he might not have been able to escape in the end. This blood demon is indeed powerful. As a creature nurtured by nature in the blood realm, it has almost reached the limit. said Emo. In this world, if we calculate it in terms of plane worlds, in addition to the central world of the multiverse like the ancient Baron's mainland, as well as small worlds like the true Martial Domain, most of them are incomplete small worlds. This blood realm is undoubtedly such a small world. These small worlds are naturally incomplete and imperfect. This kind of imperfection is often reflected in the lack of laws and faults. Therefore, in the blood realm, whether it is the blood demon or the blood beast, it is very difficult for them to cultivate to a very high level. This is because their heavenly way itself is incomplete. Naturally, they can't cultivate to a higher level. A creature like Patriarch Blood Demon is practically the most terrifying creature that can be born in this world. In the blood realm, his position is almost equal to that of the Demon Emperor of the Demon Clan, the Demon King of the Devil Clan, and the Imperial Emperor of the Human Clan. Such a mighty figure is a miracle of the Great Tao. With his cultivation base, even in the ancient Baron's continent, he is rarely seen. So, under normal circumstances, such an existence can't be targeted. As long as he is in his world, he is an invincible existence. Unfortunately, even so, he is not an undead creature. Sooner or later, he will die of old age. Said Emo. A hero is past his prime. No matter how glorious he is at his peak, in the end, he is just a target for others to hunt. Yi Shiwen sighed. Looking at the blood demon ancestor, his eyes were a little more pitiful than the setting sun, a hero past his prime. In this world, a child carrying a large piece of gold walking on the street was courting death. An old man carrying a large piece of gold walking on the street, wasn't that the same as courting death? Don't sigh. What is there to sigh about? He was glorious for a time, ruled the blood realm, and enjoyed everything he could. He was once a supreme existence, so he has no regrets. If you can't prove your Tao before the end of your lifespan, you will end up like him in the future. You don't belong to any sect, so in the eyes of many people, you are the best hunting target. Said Emo coldly, pouring cold water on Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen suddenly became nervous. Yes, he might have walked ahead of many people, but as long as he was not immortal, there was a possibility that he would turn into a cup of soil one day. In the eyes of many people, proving one's Tao without death was almost a thing of legend. Many people didn't even dare to imagine it. However, Yi Shiwen had Emo by his side. Who was Emo? He was the tool spirit of the Devil King's magical weapon. With Emo by his side, Yi Shiwen didn't learn anything else, but his vision was much higher than that of his peers. But soon Yi Shiwen calmed his mind and focused all his attention on the blood demon ancestor. The blood demon ancestor let out a long roar, and all the blood chi in its body suddenly rushed out. The huge dragon trap formation trembled slightly, and cracks appeared on it. The Transcendence Realm experts who had set up the formation all coughed up blood, and some were sent flying on the spot. The blood demon ancestor made a final counterattack, but finally couldn't hold on any longer, and its huge body suddenly collapsed. Do it! Do it! Do it quickly! This kind of sound came from all directions, and many figures suddenly dashed out. Chapter 1138. The moment the blood demon patriarch fell, Nephian was the first to react. He had been staring at the blood demon patriarch the entire time and had been estimating when the blood demon patriarch would fall. As soon as the blood demon patriarch fell, Nephian reacted. He heard the sounds of people attacking, so how could he not understand that the experts who had been lying low for a long time had made their move? He immediately became anxious. Set up the formation to block these bugs. The experts of the Southern Sea region who had been attacking the blood demon patriarch leaped forward when they heard this. They leaped to the side of the blood demon patriarch and took up positions in the four directions. It was as if they had already discussed how to deal with such a situation before they came. One by one, the seals were pinched out at a terrifying speed. A blood-red barrier was condensed and connected with each other. After a short while, it had already connected into a large area. This was obviously another spirit formation that was difficult to break from the outside. Many people began to have a bad feeling. If they could not stop these people from setting up the formation as soon as possible, it would not be easy for them to break it. You want to set it up? How could it be so easy? What a joke! I'll accept this heart of the blood realm. At that moment, a figure flew over and rushed in. The two experts of the Southern Sea region who were about to set up the formation didn't even have time to react before they were killed on the spot. It was at this point that everyone realized that it was a young man in his 20s. He had a frivolous expression on his face as he reached out to grab the corpse of Patriarch Blood Demon. Shockingly, he seemed intent on snatching the corpse away. Isn't that Luo Junfeng from the Western Sea region? How could he appear here? At this moment, the many experts from the Southern Sea region still had expressions of disbelief on their faces. I heard that two top experts came from the Western Sea region this time. One is Luo Junfeng, and the other is young Master Amano. It is said that young Master Amano was killed while encircling the experts of the human clan. Now, Luo Junfeng is the only one in the Western Sea region. He is really amazing. What a fast speed! Luo Junfeng, how dare you steal my things? You're courting death! Niefian roared loudly. Wasn't this the reason why he had been on guard against so many things? It was to prevent this kind of situation, but it still happened, and these guys still broke in. I'll be taking this. Ha, in the future, if your Southern Sea region wants to enter the blood world, you'll have to ask for my opinion first. Luo Junfeng laughed heartily, then reached out toward Patriarch Blood Demon's corpse. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that he was still alive to snatch the Blood Realm heart. Damn, don't even think about it. Niefian quickened his pace and almost caught up to Luo Junfeng in an instant. He clashed with Luo Junfeng and unleashed a terrifying attack in an instant. It was as if the sky and earth were collapsing. Niefian casually executed an unimaginably terrifying attack. Compared to the time when he had slaughtered the Sky Thundersea region, Niefian's strength was much stronger. In addition to the two of them, many other figures flew in. The experts of the Southern Sea region who hadn't finished setting up the barrier in time were instantly blasted away, seriously injured, or killed on the spot. These people might not be comparable to Niefian and the others, but the weakest among them was at the peak of the second heaven of the Transcendence Realm. There were even many experts at the third heaven of the Transcendence Realm. The experts of the Southern Sea region wanted to stop them, but how could they resist the elite experts of the Sea Clan? All of their defenses were broken in an instant, and the barrier that hadn't been set up was in shambles. Humph, you're all courting death. Greedy and insatiable, die! Suddenly, another explosive roar rang out, and a terrifying figure descended from the sky. With a ferocious stomp of his foot, a frightening shockwave instantly appeared, sweeping out in all directions. In an instant, all the experts in the surroundings, whether they were from the Southern Sea region or those who were waiting in the darkness, were all sent flying. Another domineering and resolute figure appeared. This person was none other than the handsome man who was with Fei Baifeng. Zhuang Hongyuan, you want to fight with me? When Luo Junfeng saw who it was, his face darkened. It was as if he had encountered the most unbearable thing in the world. In his eyes, there seemed to be only this handsome man and Niefian. Everyone else was like ants to him, and he did not care about them at all. The heart of the blood realm is most suitable to be in my hands. None of you have the right. The handsome Zhuang Hongyuan simply laughed coldly, then made a grasping motion with his hand. Patriarch Blood Demon's corpse, which wasn't completely dead yet, ripped open a large hole, and then pulled out a fist-sized, blood-colored crystal. The blood-colored crystal shone with an unimaginable light. It was obvious that it was extraordinary. Rest in peace. It's time for your glorious life to come to an end. This is no longer your era. Bastard, go to hell. Niefian was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. First, Luo Junfeng had appeared. Now, Zhuang Hongyuan had appeared. He had become a joke. He had suffered a double loss. He had made a wedding dress for someone else. This was something he could not tolerate. Even if he had to destroy the heart of the blood realm, he could not let anyone else have it. If he couldn't have it, no one else could. At worst, he would ruin the game. Who do you think you are? How dare you steal from me? You must be tired of living. Luo Junfeng also seemed to be greatly stimulated. He joined forces with Niefian to attack Zhuang Hongyuan from the east and west. Although the two sides had never worked together before, experts of their level could easily coordinate well even if they had not worked together before. Moreover, both sides hated Zhuang Hongyuan to the core. They must kill him. As for how the heart of the blood realm would be divided after his death, that would depend on who would win. Stop them. I'm leaving. Zhuang Hongyuan suddenly roared. Then, he flew off into the distance. You want to leave? Niefian and Luo Junfeng were not willing to let him go. They immediately used their ultimate skills to kill him. At this moment, two figures appeared in the void and blocked all the attacks. They were Fei Baifeng and the average-looking man. Fei Baifeng, Quan Xinghe, I didn't expect both of you to come. It seems like the Northern Sea is well prepared this time. Niefian said coldly as he looked at the two people in front of him. Originally, the Northern Sea had sent the highest number of peak experts this time, a total of 3. On the other hand, the other Super Sea regions only had 2, while the Southern Sea region and the Western Sea region each lost a peak expert to a human expert. Therefore, they could only dispatch 1 expert each. Although there were many experts at the 3rd level of the Transcendence Realm, everyone knew that at their level, unless they were experts of the same level, they would not be a match for them. Now that Fei Baifeng and Quan Xinghe from the Northern Sea had appeared, it was almost impossible for them to catch up to Zhuang Hongyuan. You must be tired of living. Do you think you can stop us? Now get out of my sight. Otherwise, I'll let you die without a burial ground. Luo Junfeng smiled coldly. Luo Junfeng and Niefian automatically formed an alliance against the powerful Northern Sea region. Even though they were sworn enemies, there was no such thing as an eternal enemy in this world. There were only eternal benefits. As long as I can stop you for a while. Once he refines the heart of the blood realm, you won't be able to chase after him. Quan Xinghe said coldly. Are you willing to let this happen? You should know that this is only a temporary alliance. If he refines the heart of the blood realm, you will also be under his control. Are you willing to let this happen? At this time, Niefian said unwillingly. With these 2 experts blocking them, the probability of them catching up to Zhuang Hongyuan was not very high. These 2 experts were experts of the same level as them. They could even be defeated if they were not careful. It would not be easy for such people to break through. The only way was to break up their alliance. Although they were all experts from the Northern Sea region, the Northern Sea region itself was very complicated. There were all sorts of powers occupying the region. Moreover, the 3 of them belonged to different groups of experts. Regardless of who obtained the heart of the blood realm, it would be a great threat to the other 2 groups. Whoever controls the heart of the blood realm controls the entire blood realm. Whoever they want to let in, they can come in, and whoever they want to scram, they can make them scram. He wouldn't dare! Quan Xinghe said coldly. They were not alone. Each of them had a powerful force behind them. Even the force behind Zhuang Hongyuan would not dare to offend 2 powerful forces at the same time. These forces restrained each other. If they wanted to do anything, they would be hindered by a large group of people. How could it be so easy? Damn it! Are you going to move aside? Otherwise, I won't be polite anymore, Niefeibai said coldly. He was starting to feel anxious. The Southern Sea had exhausted so much manpower and resources, yet this was the result. Wouldn't he become a huge laughingstock? At this thought, his expression became even uglier. However, the 2 people in front of him did not have the slightest intention of moving. At this moment, just as Zhuang Hongyuan was about to disappear before everyone's eyes, a shocking blade light suddenly descended from the sky and slashed down. Leave the heart of the blood realm behind if you want to leave! Chapter 1139. You want to leave? Leave the heart of the blood realm behind! With a cold shout, a few 100 feet long blade light slashed down. It was so majestic that it seemed like it was going to split the sky in half. The blade light covered the sky. Damn it! Zhuang Hongyuan immediately cursed in his heart. He frantically retreated a distance of thousands of feet before he managed to evade the shocking saber light. However, before he could continue to observe his surroundings, he found himself surrounded by more than 10 experts. The leader was not a stranger. It was Chen Chushan. Zhuang Hongyuan, hand over the heart of the blood realm. Otherwise, you won't be able to leave here today, Chen Chushan said coldly. What? Are you going to go against the entire Northern Sea region? Zhuang Hongyuan threatened coldly. Don't say such childish threats. Don't you think it's too ridiculous? Chen Chushan smirked and said sarcastically. So what if the Northern Sea region is powerful? Can you enter the Blood Realm? I am the master of the Blood Realm now that I have the heart of the Blood Realm. You are 10,000 years too young to threaten me, Zhuang Hongyuan said coldly. If you want to snatch the heart of the Blood Realm, you will have to do it over my dead body. As he said this, he leaped out almost instantly. His speed was so fast that no one could react. Trying to leave? What a joke! Chen Chushan's saber light slashed out horizontally at the instant he activated his body. In terms of talent, Chen Chushan had never lost to anyone before. If he hadn't accidentally fallen into this blood world, in his opinion, these people wouldn't even be worthy of carrying his shoes. Countless talismans appeared on Zhuang Hongyuan's body and formed a huge barrier. Boom! The blade light slashed on the talismans and destroyed them instantly. It almost split Zhuang Hongyuan in half. If it was a face-to-face battle, Chen Chushan might not be so powerful. However, Zhuang Hongyuan only wanted to escape. For Chen Chushan, this was the best opponent. Zhuang Hongyuan bit off the tip of his tongue and spat out a mouthful of blood essence. His figure instantly flew thousands of miles away, disappearing from everyone's sight in an instant. In order to escape, he no longer cared about anything else. Trying to leave? Chen Chushan's body burned with blood essence. He took a step forward and traveled thousands of miles in an instant. In the blink of an eye, he chased after Zhuang Hongyuan. Damn it, are you still going to stop us now? Niefian looked at Fei Baifeng and Quan Xinghe gloomily. He could only watch as the heart of the blood realm fell into their hands. Fei Baifeng and Quan Xinghe looked at each other. Without any hesitation, they disappeared with a stride and chased after Zhuang Hongyuan and Chen Chushan. Only they themselves knew how terrifying it was for a law phase realm expert to travel at full speed. Traveling thousands of miles in an instant was not a problem at all. After the two of them disappeared, Niefian and Luo Junfeng couldn't care less about the original conflict and chased after them one after another. If they were any later, they might not even get any leftovers. What they didn't know was that while they were chasing after Yifutian, countless experts were also chasing after him. Among these people, a golden streamer flashed across the sky and chased after Yifutian at a speed that far surpassed everyone else. Like a golden lightning, it streaked across the sky and disappeared in front of everyone in an instant. That was Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen was following behind them unhurriedly. He had no intention of making a move early. The reason was simple. He was very confident in himself. No matter who got the heart of the blood realm in the end, he just needed to be the last one to snatch it. After unfolding his demon wings, his speed was incomparably fast. In just a moment, he had already caught up with the experts who were either running for their lives or chasing after them. At this moment, in the void, both sides were fighting fiercely. Fei Baifeng and Quan Xinghe once again blocked Niefian and Luo Junfeng. On the other side, Zhuang Hongyuan and Chen Chushan were also fighting. Behind Zhuang Hongyuan, a blood-red light shone in all directions. It was the heart of the blood realm. At this moment, countless flames were burning on the heart of the blood realm. From afar, it looked like a blood-red sun. Zhuang Hongyuan's entire left arm seemed to have been burnt. It was most likely burnt by the heart of the blood realm. This forced Zhuang Hongyuan to stop and fight to the death with Qin Chushan. Although he had lost an arm, Zhuang Hongyuan was still as brave as ever. His spear was like a dragon as it blocked Qin Chushan, who was trying to get his hands on the heart of the blood realm. Ha ha ha, I told you, Zhuang Hongyuan. This treasure is not fated with you. It should belong to me, the future master of the blood realm. Qin Chushan laughed heartily. Say that again if you want to beat me. Zhuang Hongyuan sneered. His spear pierced through the sky with a thunderous sound as it pierced towards Qin Chushan. It could even pierce through a mountain range in an instant. Qin Chushan was calm and steady as he slashed with his blade. Endless blood-red waves set off a blood-red tide. Countless scales started to appear on his body, and he returned to his Sea Tribe true form. However, this time, the scales on his body had turned blood-red. He was no longer the same as an ordinary member of the Sea Tribe. The blood-red tide turned into a blood-red god in the sky. He also held a long blade in his hand and slashed down. 2 long blades slashed out one after another. However, they hit each other almost at the same time. Bloody duet. Boom! The long spear and the crimson saber collided with each other, setting off a terrifying energy frenzy that swept out in all directions. It was like a huge balloon that was crazily sweeping out in all directions. Zhuang Hongyuan's body was sent flying 500 to 600 zhang away. He who had been burned just now was unable to fight against the powerful Qin Chushan. On the other hand, Qin Chushan was only sent flying more than 100 zhang away. It was obvious who was stronger. At that instant, a golden figure flashed across the sky, drawing out a giant red hand that grabbed at the burning heart of the blood realm. What a thief! How dare you! Zhuang Hongyuan and Qin Chushan noticed the golden figure almost at the same time. Without any hesitation, they slashed at the golden figure with their long spear and long blade. However, the golden figure flashed, and the attacks of the long spear and long blade missed. They failed to land on the golden figure. He actually dodged them. Then, his big hand continued to grab the heart of the bloody realm. Damn it! Bastard, you're courting death. At this moment, even Fei Bai Feng, Quan Xinghe, Niefian, and Luo Junfeng, who were fighting in the distance, noticed the strange situation. They cursed in their hearts. Trouble after trouble had just settled. These people, these troublemakers, were getting more and more difficult to deal with. Niefian, in particular, felt like crying. He was the one who had found the Blood Demon realm first. He was the one who had gotten rid of Patriarch Blood Demon. But now, his efforts had gone to someone else. As a top genius of the Sea Clan, his pride and self-respect would never allow such a thing to happen. But even though they discovered the abnormality over there, they didn't have the time to deal with it at this time, even though they were very fast. However, they knew very well that battles between top experts usually lasted for less than 0 seconds. They didn't have time to do anything in such a short period of time. Yi Shiwen opened his big hand and grabbed the heart of the bloody realm. Sure enough, the blood-red flames on the heart of the bloody realm burned fiercely. They were about to burn through Yi Shiwen's arm. However, Yi Shiwen, who had the experience of collecting mystical flames before, was naturally unprepared. The blood-red flames couldn't even burn through the divinity on Yi Shiwen's skin, let alone burn his entire arm. On the contrary, Yi Shiwen constantly operated his power and absorbed this blood-red flame into his dantian. There was already an unusual flame in his dantian, and now another one was added to it. He could only try his best to control the 2 groups of unusual flames and prevent them from fighting each other on the spot. All of this took a long time to describe, but in fact, it only took a moment. The mystical flame on the heart of the bloody realm was suppressed on the spot. It returned to its original sparkling and translucent appearance, and was directly absorbed into the Tianyuan mirror. Refining the heart of the bloody realm wasn't something that could be done in a short time. Yi Shiwen wasn't in a hurry. Damn it, you're courting death! At this time, Qin Chushan and Zhuang Hongyuan attacked Yi Shiwen crazily like crazy. In the distance, Quan Xinghe, Fei Baifeng, Luo Junfeng, and Xie Fian also rushed over and joined in the siege of Yishiwen. Yishiwen unfolded his demon wings and was about to fly away. Suddenly, he saw an extremely terrifying aura in the sky instantly shrouding Yishiwen's body. Then, a big hand cut through the sky and grabbed Yishiwen. Yishiwen was shocked. This was the big hand that had rescued Qingshushan that day. This big hand was exuding an aura that made Yishiwen's heart tremble. Yishiwen didn't hesitate and took a step forward in the sky. When he reappeared, he was already more than 1,000 miles away. He didn't dare to stay any longer because of the frightening danger he had just experienced. In fact, if it weren't for the fact that he couldn't tear the space, he would have simply torn the space and escaped. There was actually such a creature behind the blood union? Even he didn't know what was behind that big hand. However, he couldn't care so much at this time. He immediately escaped. As for Qingshushan, he didn't care about him anymore. Anyway, as long as he had the heart of the Bloody Realm, he could enter and exit the Bloody Realm at any time. After a few hundred years, it would be a piece of cake to deal with Qingshushan. At that time, crushing him to death would be no more difficult than crushing an ant. Thinking of this, he flapped his demon wings even more frequently, and the giant hand behind him was also hot on his tail. Chapter 1140. Although the demon wings behind Yishiwen were flapping very fast, the big hand would not let Yishiwen go no matter what. Yishiwen could only keep fleeing. Fortunately, his storm wings had already reached the state of great perfection. Not only was his sprinting in a straight line extremely fast, but even in a small range, he was fast to the extreme. So, although he was in danger several times, he avoided it all at once. There was no other way. There was no way to continue staying in the blood world. Yishiwen could only decide to leave the blood world first. Fortunately, the biggest benefit of this trip to the blood world was in his hands, which was the heart of the blood world. In the future, wouldn't he be able to come and go as he pleased in the blood world? Although there were very few masters in the blood world that he was interested in, it was undeniable that the blood energy in the blood world was very beneficial for cultivation. If it weren't for the special circumstances in the blood world where one could only stay for 3 years, otherwise, if one could keep cultivating in this blood world, the cultivation speed would reach an unprecedented level. However, the restrictions for others were nothing to him. He had obtained the heart of the blood world, which meant that he was the future master of the blood world. Although he couldn't say that he had complete control of the blood world now, he was almost there. Yishiwen fled all the way in the direction of Oriental City. In just more than an hour, he had arrived at Oriental City and rushed into the crack. At this time, the name tag on Yishiwen's body came into effect. His body was suddenly attracted by a huge suction. Imprinted in his mind was a blue sea and blue sky. Finally, it was no longer the blood-red situation of the blood world. After a long time, it seemed that even his vision had regressed, and he could only see blood red. For a time, Yishiwen actually felt that it was very dazzling. Yishiwen is out! Yishiwen's figure had just appeared in the flourished Cloud Sea region, and suddenly, the spies of various forces immediately recognized him. Unlike when he first came to the flourished Cloud Sea region, the current him was no longer a nobody. His image had already spread throughout the entire flourished Cloud Sea region. Anyone who paid a little attention to this matter could instantly recognize Yishiwen. It's him, there's no mistaking it. Hurry up and report to the clan elders. Today, this kid is dead for sure. That's right. He actually dared to provoke 2 overlords. This time, it's impossible for the Gui Yuan sect to protect him. Suddenly, in the sky, communication talismans flew everywhere. After more than a year, Yishiwen finally came out of the blood world. Everyone suddenly felt refreshed. Yishiwen immediately sensed that these communication talismans were flying around randomly. He heaved a sigh of relief. This was within his expectations. When he killed young Master Yen and Crocodile Shadow on the spot, he had already thought of this situation. In the blood world, he couldn't possibly choose to hide forever. 3 years might be a very long time for many people, but for experts who had lived for hundreds or even thousands of years, it was nothing at all. It was just the time for him to take a nap. How could the two races let him off so easily with their vengeful personalities? However, Yi Shiwen also had such a vengeful personality. He was not the kind of person who would endure being slapped in the face and even extend the other side of his face to be slapped. He was particular. Whoever dared to slap him, he would kill him. Yi Shiwen, you finally came out to die! At this time, a roar came from the distant sky. A group of dozens of warriors crossed the vast sky and came over. These dozens of warriors floated in the air. Their aura was tyrannical, and their vigorous chi scattered in all directions. They were like peerless killing gods. Every one of them was a super expert in the law manifestation realm. In the flourished Cloud Sea region, any law manifestation realm expert could be regarded as a big shot. Any one of them was in existence that controlled the entire flourished Cloud Sea region on normal days. On normal days, any one of them could attract the attention of countless people in the entire flourished Cloud Sea region. But now, all of them appeared here in one breath. These were not dozens of Transcendent Realm Masters. Even if there were dozens of Transcendent Realm Masters, there were not many forces in the entire flourished Cloud Sea region. Not to mention the Law Manifestation Master. Even if there was a Law Manifestation Master, it could become a first-class expert in the flourished Cloud Sea region. Only the forces of the 6 overlords could send out so many Transcendence Realm experts in one go. The foundation of the 6 overlords could be seen clearly. These people were none other than the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan experts. Many of them had white hair at the temples. They were the old monsters in the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan who had been in close cultivation for many years. They were all dug out now. On the one hand, it proved that the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's foundation was unimaginable. On the other hand, it also proved how much they valued Yi Shiwen. This Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan is so generous. So many law manifestation masters are dispatched. Hiss, are they planning to completely fall out with the Guiyuan sect? This is nothing. You probably don't know yet. It is said that Yi Shiwen's cultivation has developed by leaps and bounds in the blood world. The law manifestation masters are not his opponents. You also know that in order to deal with a law manifestation master, you can't be too careful. The spies of the major forces were discussing. The spies waiting here were not only the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan and the Poisonous Flaming Dragon clan experts. There were also spies of many forces gathered on this island. Hiss, is the middle-aged man leading the way the current clan leader of the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan, Lianheng? Hiss, I didn't expect him to come in person. I'm afraid it won't end well this time. Even if the Guiyuan sex experts intervene, there is no way to reconcile. What about the 2 people next to him? The white-haired old man is the previous Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's clan leader. The current Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan's Supreme Grand Elder, Iwufa? Hiss, the other old guy can stand next to these 2 people. Is he also a big shot in the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan? But I haven't seen him before. That is Yichang Zai. Hiss, isn't it said that Yichang Zai has passed away? He is still alive. Oh my god, he is a big shot from more than 7,000 years ago. Oh my god, if I didn't just flip through the information from that time, I'm afraid I wouldn't recognize him. Hiss, even this old man is here. I'm afraid the Vanishing Shadow Poisonous Crocodile clan is really furious. Many people around took a breath of cold air. Yichang Zai's name shocked them. In addition to these 3 terrifying experts, there were dozens of experts of different levels of strength following behind them. Although their strength could not be compared to these 3 experts, they were definitely experts who had entered the Transcendence realm. Any one of them was an expert who could shake a region. If their names were known, They would definitely be great figures who could shake a region. You are Yi Shiwen? Yi Lianheng looked at Yi Shiwen coldly. His gaze was abnormally cold. Yes. Yi Shiwen nodded. Good, very good. You are courageous. In the flourished Cloud Sea region for countless years, there is no one who is more courageous than you. You killed many vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clans, young heaven's pride. You are courageous, Yi Lianheng said. However, courageous people often don't live long. Do you think Gui Yuan sect can save you? Even if it's them, they won't be able to withstand our fury. Today, you must die. In Yi Lianheng's eyes, Yi Shiwen was already a dead man. It was nothing more than dying earlier or later. He also heard some of Yi Shiwen's glorious achievements in the Blood Realm. That was why so many experts were dispatched. In Yi Lianheng's opinion, this was enough attention. Even if it was the leaders of the other 6 overlords, it was impossible for him to specially deal with Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen, go to hell! Yi Shiwen's face was expressionless. He hadn't even opened his mouth to speak. Suddenly, a loud shout was heard, and another group of figures came across the vast sky. There were dozens of these experts. In terms of strength, they were not worse than the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan's experts. The 2 people in front had a vigorous aura. In terms of strength, they were not inferior to Yi Lianheng's trio. Their bodies were spewing flames mixed with poisonous smoke. They were like people on fire. Even if Yi Shiwen closed his eyes, he could guess that these were the poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan's experts. The poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan's experts are also here. Oh my god, this lineup is not worse than the vanishing shadow poisonous crocodile clan. The Patriarch and the Supreme Elder have arrived. There are almost 100 law manifestation realm experts. They can overturn the entire flourished Cloud Sea region. Ying and Flame Young Master actually died in Yi Shiwen's hands. In fact, he is still too impulsive. He can wait until he enters the Blood Realm before taking action. Then, no one will know. Is he retarded or is he really unscrupulous? He actually did such a thing. Even one of the 6 overlords is already so terrifying, let alone 2 of them. This time, Yi Shiwen won't be able to escape from this calamity. The poisonous Flaming Dragon Clan's Patriarch looked at Yi Shiwen coldly and said, This time, you can't escape even if you have wings. Don't even think about running away. Run away? Who said I am going to run away? Yi Shiwen sneered and said disdainfully. He looked at the hundreds of Transcendence Realm experts with powerful auras. If it was before he entered the Blood World, he would probably turn around and leave when he saw such a lineup. But now, compared to before, his strength was not just a little stronger, but he had also seen a bigger scene. He had seen the spectacular scene of thousands of law manifestation realm experts gathering, let alone these less than 100 people. You're tuning into the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.